right, good morning, everyone. And I'm asking if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a beautiful one. I'm glad that we are here and I'm glad that we are doing this together, right? It is said that a nation is not built by the government alone. A nation is built by citizens of that nation, private parastatals, and people who are willing to make a change for the future. So, and this conversation that we are going to be having today is going to change your perspective about some things, inform you about some things, and also prompt you, right, to get on doing what you are meant to do as a social actor. So quickly before we bring up our keynote speaker, I'm going to be running us through what Cheers Global is all about, just to make sure that we cannot invite you up here and not talk about who we are, right? We need to do that so that you know exactly the reason why we are doing what we are doing. You know that we're a purpose-driven initiative, we're a purpose-driven people, and the essence that we are doing this, you need to know that, right? And why we started this in the first place. So I'll be sharing my screen so that we can go ahead with this. All right, so you're welcome to Cheers Global, and our slogan is touching lives. And we're not just here to touch lives, we're here to make you happy. What we do here, like I said, we're a purpose-driven initiative, and we're dedicated to improving the lives of individuals, every single individual facing challenges. And we try our best to do a holistic development for every individual that we find from childhood to adulthood. We're not the kind of organization or initiative that would, somebody will encounter us at probably at 5 years old, and that is the end. We try as much as possible to continue to be in the life of that person, to be in the life of that individual, because we are not here to just do hand-me-downs, right? We're not here to just, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to cook rice and share to people on the streets. I'm just saying that we don't do a one-off thing. We want to be part of a person's developmental growth. We want to be part of a person's success. We want to be part of a person's breakthrough, so that when they are telling their success story in the nearest future, they'll mention Cheers Global, not because we want to be elevated above God, no, but because this is the purpose that we have been given here on earth. And we make sure that we do this through impactful service, charity, and different empowerment programs. Like you've seen, we've touched 6,000 plus lives, but we are here because we want to touch more lives. Without you, we can't touch more lives, right? So our initiatives are many, right? Our initiatives are many, and they are getting more and more. Together we can do so much. Like I said, we can't do it alone. And our mission is very, very simple, but it carries power. And what we're going to be doing is to raise people. Like I said, we don't want to be a one-off thing. We want to raise people. We want to restore hope, and we want to revive purpose. We're not an NGO that just feeds the belly. We also feed your mind and make sure that we get you ready for the future. So I'll run us through all our initiatives quickly within a snap of a finger. God helping me. All right, so we have back to school, and we know that children are on holidays right now, and some parents are already thinking how they're going to fund school fees, get writing materials, stationaries for their children. School fees especially very important for parents in this season, due to the economic downturn that we're having, all the issues that people have with, there's literal poverty in the nation. and let me say in the world. So don't let us speak bad about our Nigeria, right? So what Back to School does is to provide stationaries, notebooks, writing materials, school bags. We know how expensive school bags are now. I was still speaking with one of my aunties yesterday, and she was lamenting about how school bags are now very expensive. And I remember how we used to buy school bags for 3,000 naira when I was in secondary school. 3,000 naira, those big bags, very quality bags, or 3,000, 4,000 naira. But now bags can shoot up as much as 30,000 naira. Where do you expect somebody that has not eaten breakfast, or that does not even know where lunch is coming from, or where their school fees is coming from, to get 30,000 naira, 40,000 naira to buy a school bag for a 4-year-old child? So this is one of the things that we hope to achieve at Back to School, to make sure that every single individual has the opportunity at formal education, quality formal education. And our another initiative is Happy Feet. I love how beautiful this slide is. You can see, in fact, when you're looking at these tiny shoes, your heart is already melting. I can tell, right? And this initiative literally is to bring cheer and happiness to children at Christmas. You can call us the Father Christmas, right? You can call us Santa Claus. We try as much as possible to bring footwears, beautiful footwears. We don't do fairly used. We don't do second hand. Not saying it is bad, but we try as much as possible to do quality shoes for children, just so that they can, feel like somebody's thinking about them. I'm sure that many of us would have experienced, especially millennials, would have experienced your mom using a broom, a broomstick to measure your feet, or your foot, your feet, to take to the market, because she does not want to take it to the market during the, Christmas rush hour in the market. So, our aim majorly in December is to make sure that children are happy with their shoes, because it's a heartwarming thing when you see a child that has gone through the year with the shoes that they bought for that child in December. The child wears it to church, wears it to school, and you expect that child to wear that same shoe again in the next year, December. It doesn't work that way. So we took it upon ourselves at Chess Global that we want to make children happy. It's a form of also relieving the parents of some expenses. We also have tech things. We know the trajectory that the workplace is taking right now, and we know how fast paced it is. And with all the technological advancement and innovations, we try as much as possible to bring teenagers into this light and make them people who can compete on global scale, right? So another initiative that we run is the Rural Hydrate. We say that water is life, right? Water is life. And this particular initiative addresses clean and hygienic water. We know that there are many diseases that are, passed across, or that infects people through water, like river blindness, that's lower, caused by black fly. Yeah. So we see that people tend to, and different diseases also passes through water. People defecating in water, or people drinking that same water, having infestation of worms, and it's just a very gory sight, right? So we try as much as possible to provide good water source for people in undeserving or underserved, underserved communities. I would do this. We make sure that we do a very quality work, right? Like digging boreholes. We don't just go there, hit a rock, right? Like Moses did. We don't do that. But by the miracle of God, we try as much as possible to bring a quality, borehole system to wherever we find a community that needs water. So another initiative is Girls Emerging. Girls Imagine. We know the decadence in the society these days, and there's just been some, stifling condition around the growth and development of ladies, of girls, to the extent that, we now went the extreme and started preaching the quote and unquote the independent woman who does not need anybody, to thrive or to survive. But what we do here is we nurture a safe space for girls that are yet growing, that are maturing, right? We give them a voice so that they can be heard. We make sure that they have dreams that are valid, and we also validate the dreams that they have, and we show them the right path to go, right? So quickly, I'll move to the next one. We have 1,000-man march against indecency. 1,000-man march against indecency. And when we hear indecency, it's not just about immoral dressing or somebody not wearing good clothes or walking around with, revealing clothes. No, it's not just that. Anything you hear in the corruption is indecency, right? Anything you hear in a society that goes against the order of morality, that goes against the order of God, yes, of God, is indecency, right? So prostitution is indecency, human trafficking is indecency, the way our educational system is being, stifled is indecency. Whatever you can imagine that goes against the order of life, goes against the order of God, goes against the order of morality is indecency. So we come together and we push a campaign against. There are many things that trend online these days, and you're like, how come this thing is trending? That's because some people are pushing this agenda, right? So it is time for us to rise up, and this is what Cheers Global is doing, to rise up and push campaigns that are healthy and will bring order to the society. And we also have Dear Boys. We cannot deal with girls and not deal with boys, right? We can't prepare girls for life and leave the boys. So what we do at Dear Boys is to bring boys to a safe haven and to raise them, to nurture them, and to mentor them to be men of strength and compassion, right? I'm sure that some of us would have met some people that don't have compassion, some men that don't have compassion, because when you hear strong man, you have to be macho and you need to be able to slap somebody. So what we do at Cheers Global is to mentor boys, to make sure that we put them in the right path. We give them everything that they need for holistic development. All right, so we have our Cheer Center, and this is a very, very new initiative. Cheer Center is a safe space of support, hope, and empowerment. It's a place where we serve people physically, right? You walk in, people who are underprivileged, people who have not been able to, put their life together. You walk in and we give you the best support that you need, whether with resources, whether with encouragement, whether with counseling. And that is what Cheer Center is all about. So we have our events. I know it's a lot. Cheers Global, you had Cheers Global, so it's a lot by the help of God. So we have our cheer events, and they are carefully curated to further our mission of touching lives. Like this that we are doing right now is Touchlight webinar, right? We have conversations that sparks curiosity in people, that sparks people wanting to get to do more. We expose you to knowledge that you might not even know exists. Because when when we got this idea of a silent tug of war, it was just a simple conversation that we were having, and it looked as if, we were the only ones that were experiencing it. And then we opened it up to people, and they were like, wow, it's true. I never knew. So this is what Touchlight webinar is all about, to bring empowerment, to bring knowledge, and to build and spark curiosity in you. Another event is Giving Tuesday. We have seen that there is a Giving Tuesday that is universal, right? We didn't even know that there was a universal Giving Tuesday. We didn't even know that there was a universal Giving Tuesday, but here we are. When God throws out ideas, is the first person that catches it, right? But most times ideas are not exclusive to people, because we can catch the same idea but execute it in different ways, right? So this one is the weekly initiative where we go out it can be as simple as, I'm sure you would have seen those kits where people pay for people's lunch, or you pay for their bike, or you just ask them a simple question, and then you just pay for their food, or you help somebody in the market carry their items, or you just give somebody a beautiful note and you just bring a smile to their face. And this is what Giving Tuesday is all about. We cannot just sit in our element and expect that, oh, what we are doing in the back end. Let's go out there. Let's go to the streets and really show the love that we claim that we have, and cheer people up as Cheers Global is, or Cheers Global usually do. So we have Children's Day special. I so love these children that are on this screen. They look really, really cute. And can't you see that you need to preserve this generation? Yes, I know that your heart is being prompted that you need to preserve this generation, help them, empower them, grow them. Calm down. I'm getting too passionate about this. So CDS, right? CDS is Children's Outreach. And we just thought of reaching out to children during their Children's Day. Sometimes, most times, they're always in school, and we have, some people visit them, right? But sometimes you just go to school, do your normal subjects, go back home. Your mom is Happy Children's Day, or they'll give you one lollipop, and that's the end. That's good. But we try as much as possible to celebrate children. Celebrate them. They are the center of attention at that particular time. The attention is on them on that particular day, and we make sure that we cater to their needs, whether with parties or party packs, anything that will make them happy, right? And we also have Cheerleaders Summit. This particular webinar is serving as our pre-summit. It's serving as our pre-summit, and Cheerleader Summit is simply an annual gathering where social actors come together to inspire one another, share strength, and prepare for greater service to society. So we come together, we rub heads together, we pick each other's brains, we realize that this person is also having the same struggle. So why am I having imposter syndrome? Oh, this is how you get funding. Okay, I think you can get funding better this way. Or you have been experiencing some roadblocks. This was the way I experienced mine, and this was what I did to come out of mine. You come together, we come together, and we discuss these things so that we can really, really get real work done in real time. So this is a call for you to join our cheerleader initiative. And cheerleaders are not just volunteers. Cheerleaders are not just volunteers. Like the name connotes, cheerleaders. So it is not until you start your own NGO, it's not until you have ₦1 million to start up something, register your own. You can do all that with Cheers Global, right? You can wherever you are in the world, wherever or whatever location you are, you can be a cheerleader in that place. It means that you are leading the cheer where you are. You are leading the joy where you are. You are leading the happiness where you are. You are empowering people where you are in your little community. You could be just a neighbor or an auntie, like this picture depicts, that children love in your area. You love to give them sweets when you're coming back. You are a cheerleader already. You are a cheerleader already. So what we want for you is just to join us on this journey and put a structure to it. That is what Cheers Global is going to be helping you do. They're going to help you put a structure to your impact journey. Even if you don't understand exactly what you are doing, you just know that you have the heart to serve. And also you can volunteer for any of our initiatives, those that have presented to you, that I've shared with you, that I've explained to you. After this event, you're definitely going to have a replay, so you can go through every single event. So those ones that you're going to be interested in, you can reach out to us. You can go on our website at cheersglobal.org and get more information. And I'm sure that we're going to put in the chat a link where you can also register to be a volunteer. So there are many other things that you can do, and you need your community, and we want to be that community. So this one is very close to my heart. Very, very close to my heart. And I'd like to announce that in 2026, Cheers Global is going to be 10 years. Cheers Global is going to be 10 years. I'm sure that some people don't even know that Cheers Global has been existing that long, but we thank God, right? We thank God that we are still here touching lives even after 9 years plus. So this initiative, this particular goal, rather, it's 10 years 100 million hearts. That is why we need you as a cheerleader wherever you are, so that we can meet this goal. It's a goal that is not just about the number. It's not just about the landmark that we want to create. It's about the people that we want to touch. It's about you fulfilling that heart-long desire to also impact the world. And our compassion is really high for this, right? So in the next 10 years, 2025 to 2035, we have a goal to reach 100 million hearts. We cannot continue to, run an NGO and not have a goal, right? We need to set our SMART goals and make sure that we hit it. So one of the ways that we're going to achieve this is by needing you and bringing you in to make sure that everything that we do together. Because when we go together, we go faster, right? When we go together, we go faster and we go bigger. All right, so our destination is the globe. Like, Cheers Global, our destination is like the globe. Is literally the whole world. We might be operating from Nigeria right now, but I'm sure that in less than 1 year, with your help and with God's help, we are going to be touching lives in different parts of the country. I don't want you to be, all encompassed or shut up in your own world, right? There's a way we can just be locked up in our Nigeria, in our Lagos state, or in our Ogun state, or in our Kwara state, wherever we are in our streets, and just forget that other people exist all over the world. So our destination is the whole world. Our destination is the whole world. Thank you so much. And I'm sure that you might have questions. Right? But you can put your questions in the chat, or you reach out to us anytime you want. You can reach out to us at any point in time that you want. All right. So we're supposed to go into our keynote speech now. But I'm not certain our keynote speaker is available at the moment. Probably she's experiencing some delay, or she's, busy with something else. So I would like to ask, do we have anybody who is willing to, volunteer with us? I'm sure that we have people who would like to volunteer with us, or you just love what Cheers Global is doing and you want to be part of us, or there's just something on your heart for a long time that you want to achieve. There might be something on your heart that you've been wanting to achieve. Maybe you slept and you had a dream or a revelation that you were feeding widows. All our initiatives, we might not have something for widows, but at the beginning I said that this is not all, right? This is not all. There's still more things, and that more things can come from you, right? It can come from you. So why not you just join us on this journey? And make sure that you continually pursue impact. I would like to repeat again that there are things that government cannot do for you. There are many things that the government cannot do for you. It's now time for us to take responsibility. It's time for us to take responsibility, because we can't continue to wait. We can't continue to look to people who are not, I wouldn't say are not willing, but have not, passed the test over time. They've not passed the test over time. And it's time for us as citizens, as individuals, to begin to build the nation. Like I initially said, it is the people that will build the nation, not the government. The government will only facilitate it. Like, they put the policies in place, they put the systems in place, they give you opportunities, they open you up to the globe. But the governments are only facilitators. We are the ones that will bring the mortar, we're the ones that will bring the brick, we're the ones that will bring the cement, the water, we're the ones that will bring the strategies, we're the ones that will bring the ideas, we are the ones that will bring the innovation to building our nation. And you have to build the nation one heart after another. You have to build the nation one heart after another. You cannot sit back in your element and pretend like everything is fine, waiting to, eat your 3 square meal per day, and that is all. There is more to life. There is more to life. There is more to life. And I promise you that one of the things that you get from impacting lives is that your life will also be impacted positively back, because there are many times that we've gone on outreaches that in my head they're just giving you biro and pencil, right? They're just giving you erasers. We are just trying to subsidize somebody's school fees, right? But somebody literally cries and the person is saying, thank you so much, for this gift. If you had not come, I don't know what I would have done with my children. Somebody would literally cry and cry and cry, not because you want to feel good about yourself, but because you want to touch somebody's life and create and make a mark. You want to make a mark. At that point in time where you are helping somebody, you are also helping yourself in the nearest future. You are helping yourself in the nearest future. We can't continue to point fingers and say that these are the people that are supposed to do it. What about you? Remember, as you point one finger, you're pointing the rest of your 4 fingers to yourself. So it means that you have more responsibility. You have more responsibility to stand up and get to work. To stand up and get to work, right? So I'm sure that we have people who are already ready. I'm sorry for that tautology. Who are ready to be part of the initiative. We are ready to be part of Cheers Global. We are ready to be part of something worthwhile. We are ready to be part of people who will build a legacy that will last and will stand the test of time. That will last and stand the test of time. You cannot, there's this Yoruba adage that they say that you don't want to be a snake that will crawl on the rock that will not have ipa, that will not have a mark, a landmark. When a snake crawls on a rock, there is nothing like a pathway or an indentation on the sand. There is nothing like that. Nobody will even know that a snake passed here, right? Nobody will feel the impact of that snake, especially if it is gone. But when you walk on the sand of time, let people see your footprint. Let people see your footprint, right? Let people see your footprint. And how will they see your footprint? It is not only by, I'm trying hard as much as possible not to, throw some people under the bus. But it is not until you build your social media and you're showing everybody your lifestyle, but you're not touching anybody's life. You're not touching anybody's life. There is really nobody that can look back and say, I remember when this man came to our school and just reminded us or told us or taught us how to make $1 billion, even if it does not make sense, $1 billion in 5 years. As a teenager, in the next 5 years, I made my first millionaire. Let somebody be the one to look back or see you somewhere, probably at a conference or a seminar, and say that, I remember you. You might not remember them. I remember you. I remember that, you came to my class that day, you came to my school that day, and you handed us pens. And on that pen, it was written on it, don't lose your dreams. And that was that statement that carried me throughout. I'm just playing scenarios for you in your head. This is a way to, if you are looking for purpose, you are looking for something that you want to do in your life, start with this. Start with this. Start with this. This is the place. This is the place to be. This is the place to be. So, and make sure that while you are coming in, especially as probably a volunteer or a cheerleader, a partner, or a sponsor, or an advisor, or a mentor, you can be anything at Cheers Global. Like I said, we are global, not only in location, but also in our minds. We are global. There is no restriction. There is no restriction. There is no restriction. Definitely, we have our structure. Yeah, we have how things run here. But definitely your wisdom, your ideas, your time would really be appreciated and be validated, right? So if you are looking for purpose, this is where purpose starts. It is not until you hear, my child, this is what you're supposed to do. I want you to go and start creating cars. It is not until you hear a voice. If you're looking for signs, may you not sign out, right? So this is the time for you. I'm doing evangelism. I'm literally just marketing Cheers Global to you so that you know that there is more to life. There is more to destiny. There are people out there who have it worse. Somebody might be saying, oh, I don't have what to give. I don't have, that is why Cheers Global is here. You can volunteer. I don't have as much money to sponsor anybody. You can start at any time. You can start anywhere. It can be your concussion rice that you are cooking, and you cook it in your house, and you have some children that you know that they are hungry in their, in their other room, and then you just take a little bit of rice to them. We're not saying that you should record those things, but it starts from the heart. It starts from the heart. When you have the desire to help people, you have the desire to help others, you have the desire to elevate people and make sure that at least to some extent you alleviate their poverty. You alleviate their poverty. And I would like to mention that there are no hidden agendas here. There are no hidden agendas here. We know that there are conspiracy theory out there. We know that there are agendas out there. We know that there are things that people want to achieve because, quote and unquote, they want to take over their lives. But at Cheers Global here, we want to give your life back to you. We want to give the people's life back to them. We want to make sure that we elevate wealth and suppress poverty. We want to make sure that every individual has the opportunity at a good life. Not just a better life, but at a good life. Because some people's life is not even good, let alone better. So we want to give every individual the privilege and the opportunity at a better life. We want to give them an opportunity at a better life. And I'm sure that with this, will I call these few words, with these few words of mine, I'm sure that I've been able to convince you that impact is the way to go. Nation building is for individuals, not for the government. I think it is time for us to elevate ourselves as the government. It's time to take that seat. It's time for you, because this is the way you get invited to the table. When you start solving problems, that is innovation. When you start solving problems, this is the way you are invited to the table. You become a policy maker. You become somebody who, that is why, when they see that somebody is already making impact, we're going to talk about all this in our panel session. We're literally going to shatter the tables, right? So when the people at the top that we say are at the top, they see the good work that you are doing, they would award you. They will call you up and say, how are you doing it? Let's understand how you are doing. Let us show us the way now. They will call you, and that is how you get invited to the table. That is how they allow you to impute your own ideas, and then it becomes a policy at how people need to live their life every day, right? This is how you get invited. So if you are looking for power, start first by helping people. If you are looking for opportunities to be honored, start first by helping people. Touch the hearts of others. Let people say that you have impacted their lives. And this is not to give us the right to use this as a ladder to getting power, or a ladder to becoming rich, or a ladder to getting wealth. You need to be sincere about it. You need to be sincere about it. You need to be very sincere about the work of impact, because it is a lot. I'm sure that our panelists are going to have conversations with us, and we're going to know exactly what people are going through behind closed doors, the things that they've had to weather, the storms that they've had to weather. And you will just see the work out there. You see the social media you like, and you say thumbs up. Wow, I like what people are doing. But you don't know the tears. You don't know the tears. You don't know the things that people have been going through to make sure that what you see on the outside is a success. So I have been told that our keynote speaker is around. I am so hyped up. I am so joyed up right now. So we're going to be having a profile, and then she comes up. Please get ready. Please, please, and please. I don't say please 3 times, but I'm saying this now. Get ready, because she's bringing the fire. She's bringing the heat. She's bringing everything she needs to bring. She's top notch. I'm sure when you hear her profile, you understand why she's here. When she starts, you will begin to feel that, I've been saying, let impact start from your heart. If you want to let it start from your heart, you begin to feel that heat in your chest. She's bringing it with anointing. It's not just intellect. She's intelligent, she's brilliant, she's intellectual, and she's also fireful. So we're going to be having a profile now as I give room for that.
Oluwatoyin Banjo is a dynamic leader, celebrated for her unwavering commitment to humanitarian causes and her remarkable ability to drive positive change. Recognized as a global catalyst for change, she combines vibrant vision, strategic focus, and exceptional execution. A certified management consultant, board advisor, certified QMS auditor, Lagos Business School alumni, fellow of the American Express Executive Leadership Academy, London, member of Forbes BLK, and PhD candidate in development communications. Oluwatoyin brings over 15 years of expertise across corporate communications, brand management, strategic planning, project management, impact and policy advisory, social innovation, fundraising, and development consulting within the insurance and development sectors. As Program Director at Ideation Hub Africa, she empowers social entrepreneurs, change makers, and non-profit innovators across 46 plus countries, leveraging a network of 28,000 plus change makers and social innovators. She's also the founder of Managers Toolkit Africa, a sustainable enterprise dedicated to upskilling and reskilling Africa's workforce. In ministry, she serves as director at Kingdom Leaders Global Alliance, a Christian ministry in 10 countries focused on spiritual discipleship and leadership development. She's the author of Tales of Civic Education for Young Children and Teenagers, inspiring youth to take action and make a difference. Her leadership style is defined by her ability to nurture talent, build structure, cast compelling vision, and motivate precision in execution. In 2020, she was honored with the Royal African Young Leadership Forum Award by His Imperial Majesty, the Oni of Ife, for her dedication to youth transformation and nation building, with her work also featured in various media outlets. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly welcome Oluwatoyin Banjo.
Good afternoon, good morning, I believe. Don't mind me. I'm working with the time zone of other countries. Just joking. Thank you once again to the convener, Olajumoke. Please confirm that you can hear me, see me clearly. Am I audible? Am I visible? I really can't read from anyone. Let me see if I can read comments. Excellent. I can see the comments now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Excellent. So once again, Olajumoke, thank you. I really do appreciate that. I would say that intro video. I would almost say, send that to me, please. I love it so much. Thank you. All right, so dive into the keynote. I must commend highly the team at Cheers Global. I've interacted with them at many levels through an array of our programs at Ideation of Africa, and of course, with the visionary herself and convener. So, once again, I say congratulations to everyone tuned in at this moment. A big, big, big congratulations. Thank you for investing not just your time, but investing in your capacity building. This is a valuable utility of your time. And I believe strongly that the last 1 hour has been transformationally impactful for each of you. Now, let's dive into the theme. I'm delivering a keynote address regarding the theme around the tug of war. The tug of war, what are the silent struggles that most social actors encounter in this journey of development, particularly within a restrictive system? So, once again, I welcome each of the nation builders, policymakers. I know that there are burden and experienced change makers in our midst, and I am deeply, deeply honored to stand before you to present and also speak on this valuable topic. This topic resonates profoundly with me because of my own lived and collective experience as a social actor. I have over 15 years of engagement, interactions across different career pathways. I also have over 7 years of experience within the development sector. And I understand what the silent tug of war is like, what actors, development practitioners face as they navigate restrictive systems. And restrictive systems are contextual. They are very contextual because you can categorize restrictive systems to speak to a locality, a location, a country of residence. You can also categorize restrictive systems to the existing policies, laws, and regulations, the environmental factors, social economic factors, environmental factors that play a crucial role in how social actors build sustainably. So the tug of war is not fought with just, trying to clamor for a particular position, or to, really have voices coming out to speak on a matter. It also speaks to sometimes just being in your quiet space as a social actor, as a development actor, building a particular organization or building in a particular impact area. And you spend long nights of doubting the vision. You spend long nights of even questioning the path of development that you're on. You spend long nights of even questioning the impact. You are also faced with perplexing situation. Some these situations we would sometimes describe as a hydra-headed problem. That is a wicked problem betting other subsets of problems, right? And you are in between that nexus of making difficult choices of survival and impact. These are the real issues. There are people who are faced each day with funding opportunities that don't align with their values and mission as an organization. But if they take on that funding, it can literally, enhance or scale the impact of their work. But if they get on to take on that funding, it could also mean that they are already setting a foundation for a great vision and value misalignment. These are the struggles. It is also the struggle between the vision and running maybe people who are placed within systems that are bureaucratic. It is also a struggle between fear and courage, right? And just as related to the example that I cited, it's also the struggle between the ideals we carry, the values we embody, and the systems that often resist them. And we can cite examples of systems. And I want to make it, okay, I know it's a keynote. Maybe if it was a teaching session, I would have made it more practical to just hear from the house. But because I have a limited time, I will just gloss over that. But if I'm to throw open the floor, to the brilliant minds in the room, to just share some of the systems in your own context, in your own situation, how would you describe some of these resistant systems, restrictive systems, prohibitive systems, right? That are burden the quiet struggles, right? So, in understanding these struggles across not just Nigeria, not just Africa, we understand that these struggles imply that we're stepping into spaces to challenge injustice, right? And to reimagine possibilities. Not just to raise voices of impact, but to amplify these voices of impact across impact areas and sectors. So there's a question I want to leave with you, or I want to each to just ruminate in your mind as I carry on with this keynote. In your own context, right? When you look around your play of your social impact field of play, how would you describe some of these quiet struggles? What does it look like? Right? So it's challenging injustice. It's reimagining what possibilities exist. Yet, doing this within systems designed to resist change. And there are many types of change that impact on why people will resist it, right? There are different types of change. There is inertia, there is different types of change. There is the change you have to carry on proactively, there's a change you have to take on strategically, right? There are different drivers of change. Globalization, right? Localization, and many other critical factors. And for young, burdened civic leaders, young, burdened social actors who dream of one day transforming governance, not just within your locality or community, but nationally, you are faced with a political system where critical gatekeepers resist transparency, accountability, right? And indeed, a commitment to change for the people. We have the category of the women from the grassroots, people who are across marginalized communities and groups, right? And you have that change maker who is so passionate about birthing change in a marginalized community, who wants to mobilize a community for improved healthcare systems. But what? But must first settle what? Some layers of gatekeepers in that community. I gave a context of government. I'm not giving even a context of people who enable resistance to change. There are the Baba Isales and the Mama Isales in these communities that people have to settle, right? Who form a multiplicity of bureaucratic levels of engagement before he or she is allowed to carry on with that impact work in that community. And then we have the context of the social entrepreneur who is trying to what? Solve waste management and possibly leverage artificial intelligence in solving this. And is, of course, looking at herself, trying to see how she can work with state ministries, work with the state government, but in herself is caught in a web of inconsistent policies. There is issue of, inconsistent policies, taxation laws that even she does not even understand, and government approvals that she must huddle through. Now, each of these stories remind us that change makers, social actors, development practitioners, impact makers carry visions that are far larger than the space that is the system that is willing to grant them. So I'm giving a context, a background to why some of these problems exist. And so, what are some of these quiet struggles? Right? When we think about these quiet struggles, what are they? What are these quiet struggles? And sometimes it's a quiet struggle of resource, resource and resource management. But before I delve into resource and resource management, I want to even start from the place of the vision. It's even sometimes the quiet struggle of clarifying the vision. Clarifying the vision. There are questions of this vision that you're carrying. One, it's not entirely a new vision. It already exists on the earth. And you begin to think, in birthing this vision, what are the innovations? What are the systemic and design thinking approaches to ensuring that this vision is both scalable and sustainable? You're also factoring beyond you. How do you co-create? How do you co-design with the beneficiaries in mind without birthing and clarifying the vision just from the place of assumption? Because the mistake a lot of social actors make from time to time is what? Trying to birth the vision from a place of assumption. These are some of the struggles. Struggles also speaking to the psychological mindset of the visionary, where the visionary in this context may be a budding social actor. This is just our first time of stepping into the social impact space, has not much knowledge, or perhaps is a mid-level social impact maker. And he or she has some existential levels of expertise, but still has some areas of expertise to grow into, and has those quiet questions burning and tugging in her heart or in his heart. Then the struggle of resources and resource management. Right? There is the popular phrase of, we can always do more with less. But the reality still states that many visionaries out there, right, are literally doing the impossible with literal nothing. They are the ones bootstrapping the vision. They sometimes have to borrow, sacrifice, make personal sacrifices, and even sacrifice personal comfort, all for the sake of the vision that is greater than themselves. There is also the struggle of fatigue and loneliness, feeling isolated in the process of birthing the vision. Sometimes feeling like a warrior who is so wounded and tired, who behind, of course, on the front level looks like so much is going on, but behind closed doors, these warriors of change are exhausted, right? They are carrying on both the mental toll of showing up every day to fight the battles, both systemic, right? Systemic and structural challenges across the different pillars of society with very little support, right? And you again have questions of, struggles around legitimacy, where, many social actors have to spend time proving their worth. Like, you have to spend time proving that you are worthy to execute that vision than doing the actual work, right? So you are out there, you are within the grassroots, you're stepping into communities, really engaging at the grassroots level to impact lives, to change the lives of girls, and just really redefine what girl child education looks like. But yet there is the need to still put up the optics, right? You need to still position yourself. You need to still maybe not put up the optics. Let me restructure that. But you need to be properly branded. You need to be properly positioned as an institution of repute. And these are struggles. You need to still ensure that you're securing recognition, you're accessing funding. But yet, in the process of doing this, you need to ensure that you are amassing the right and strategic connections. These are the quiet struggles. These are the quiet struggles. And when these quiet struggles persist, because they will never leave. When I say they persist and they are there at different layers of your evolution as a change maker and as a social actor. Even when you morph from being a burdened social actor or social innovator to becoming a mid-level, right, social actor or social innovator, there are different layers of quiet struggles you would uncover. So what does this silent tug of war teach us? It teaches us resilience, leveraging the power of resilience. It forces us to begin to innovate within constraints, to begin to unravel cracks in the system where light can shine through. Because if problems do not exist, we will never be able to unravel innovative solutions. So we call ourselves problem solvers today because there is a hydra-headed multiplicity of problems existing within our global space. Right. And so it causes us to press beyond ourselves to unravel the cracks, unravel the hidden mysteries or solutions in these systems where light can shine through. And citing examples where you see policies, you're interacting with rigid policies. The question is, and the solution is, social actors can respond with creative and innovative advocacy. In cases where funding is scarce, resources are limited, or social actors are
All right, I think she had some network glitches there. I'm hoping that she'll be able to rejoin, but while she's still trying to rejoin, I'm sure that you would have been prompted to think differently right now. And you cannot tell me that after now, we're not going to still go back and listen, because she said a lot. She said a whole lot. There are so many things that she even said that I'm like, girl, do you know about this? You know, she said a whole lot of things. And I'm glad that this is a very intellectual conversation, that you would need to still sit back and really glean wisdom from all that she has said and all that she has shared with us. I'm trying as much as possible to make sure that we have her back. I'm trying as much as possible to make sure that we have her back. But while we are still trying that, I want us to get ready that because our panel session is coming up very soon. Just immediately she's done with the keynote, we're going to be bringing the panelists up. And I'm sure that they are ready to share the fact that DTB has already told us that without the problems, right, we cannot birth innovative solutions. So this is a conversation of resilience. It's now looking like Cheers Global literally reminds people that, oh, struggles will come, oh, in this world you have tribulations, but know that you have overcome the world. So I know that we have a webinar like that we've talked about building resilience. You can go ahead and check that out. You can go ahead and check that out. It's right on the channel. You can check it out. So I think that she's unable to rejoin. So I think we might just move on to the panel session. And if probably she can come back maybe after the panel session to wrap up, or she sends us like a full course. How many of us want that? Because she has a whole lot to unpack. She has a whole lot to unpack. So she could literally send us a whole full course. You are going to pay. It's not free. It's not free. And these are one of the things that you can also enjoy at Cheers Global if you're a cheerleader. These are the resources that you can also be privy to and open to. So I think we should just move on quickly to the panel session so that we have, we have to manage our time and we don't keep people for too long.
Anu Oluwapo Adediran is an emerging communications and programs professional, passionate about using storytelling, strategy, and community to drive social impact across Africa. With a degree in mass communication from the University of Lagos, she blends creativity and structure to deliver purpose-driven work. She currently serves as program manager with DO Group Charity, where she leads initiatives focused on menstrual hygiene, youth empowerment, and educational access reaching thousands of beneficiaries. Anu Oluwapo is also the programs manager for the Starling Collective Fellowship Nigeria, part of the Global Giving Tuesday movement, supporting grassroots change makers nationwide. Her experience spans non-profits, fashion, tech, and media, always centered on amplifying voices and building communities. She is a C-Teach coach with Ashoka Africa, a UNICEF Youth Influencer alumni, and an award-winning volunteer committed to raising a generation that leads with empathy and action. Fondly known as the Impact Girl, she mentors teenagers on faith, identity, and purpose, and leads a growing community of young volunteers across Africa. In quieter moments, she's often reading, writing, or engaging in deep conversations on life, leadership, and legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly welcome Anu Oluwapo Adediran. Ifeoluwa Aduradola is a literacy advocate and children's book author from Ogun State, Nigeria. She's the founder of Onkawe Book Club for adults, Onkawe Junior Book Club ages 5 to 12, and Onkawe Education Foundation. She has a BA in English and an MA in Literature from the prestigious Redeemers University in Ede, Osun State, Nigeria. She also holds a professional diploma in Early Childhood Care, Development, and Education from Corona College of Education, Lagos State, Nigeria. She's currently studying to become a child psychologist. Through our foundation, she has facilitated training for early years teachers in low-income schools, as well as orientation programs for parents in rural communities. Ifeoluwa loves children and is passionate about ensuring that every child, regardless of their family financial background, has access to quality education and literacy. She's an advocate of better parenting and wholesome family life. She and her husband host the Parenting is an Action Word podcast, where they share their parenting experiences and insights to having a wholesome family life. She's the author of Parenting is an Action Word and the award-winning Bam Bam Surprise, Tammy's song, God Wants You to Be Like Him, amongst others. She's also the COO of Studio 513, a creative studio birthed in 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly welcome Ifeoluwa Aduradola. Olajumoke Adetilewa David is a multifaceted leader, an innovative strategist, dynamic system thinker, and a graceful force of influence, consistently delivering value across diverse sectors of human endeavor. She's a certified teen and adolescent coach, as well as a dedicated social entrepreneur with a passion for transformative development and community impact. Olajumoke serves as the co-custodian of the Marvel Nation, an emerging family-owned enterprise evolving into a business corporation with strategic interests spanning multiple industries, human capital development, nation-building initiatives, and social impact projects. Within the ecosystem of the Marvel Nation, Olajumoke Adetilewa David chairs the board of Chairs Global, a mission-driven organization dedicated to transforming lives and inspiring joy through impactful initiatives. He also serves as the lead coach at the Mendes Hill Coaching Company, a specialized firm focused on the growth and development of teens and adolescents. In addition, she co-leads alongside her husband several other strategic initiatives, including the Petro Global, Community of Ideas, Vision Driven Life, Mission Nigeria, as well as a growing portfolio of business enterprises. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly welcome Olajumoke Adetilewa David.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us. So our keynote speaker is back, and she said she wants to finish up. So you see how blessed we are. She said she wants to finish up. So immediately she's done, we're going to bring up the beautiful panelists for our first panel session. So can we have DTB, please, so that we can, she can wrap up her. Okay, I was just told that she's not yet in the house. All right. Okay, can we have the panelists then? Can we have the panelists? I think she's still having some network glitches. So let's have the panelists come up. Let's have Aduradola Ifeoluwa. Let's have Anuluwapo, pardon me, Adediran. All right, good morning. We're still in the morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time. I hope you can hear me well. I hope you can hear me clearly. You can see me, and I hope you can see our panelists as well. Hello, Anuluwapo. I hope you're doing very well today.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for having
All right.
me. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. I think Ife is still having some network glitches. Is she in the studio? I'd like to see if she's here. Yeah, she's here.
Yes, so my audio is up, but my video is not. I don't know why.
Oh. We'll take authority over the network in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so let's just start with Anu. But before we start, I would like to, do a quick, simple introduction about what we're going to be talking about in this particular panel session. And we titled this panel session, Adaptive Resilience of Social Innovators in Restrictive Systems. DTB has talked about the restrictive systems. She has literally broken up all the things the struggles that social actors, social impact individuals go through, right? Yeah. Yeah, you can join us with your audio. That will be fine. We need your voice. We need your voice. So in this session, we'll be discussing how um, distinguished social actors, the people that we have on this panel, how they have been driving real change, how they've been able to navigate through difficult systems, how they've been able to run something so impactful, even with all the bureaucracies they might experience, right? How they engage the system, how they literally navigate the hurdles, the struggles, and how they can, make sure that everything that they do is sustainable, and it's not just a one-off thing. It's not a hand-me-down that they are doing. They are having sustainable results, and they are having impactful results. They have things that is working for them, and they will continually stand in the place of impact to make sure that those people that are coming behind them would know how to navigate through as well. So I would start with Anu, since Ife is still trying to join. She's still trying to join. So I'll start with Anu. So what's one major obstacle or struggle or downtime? I know that this we might be asking you to be a little bit vulnerable with us today. So what's that hurdle? What's that challenge? What's that setback? What's that obstacle that you've experienced or that you faced in this journey of impact? Because definitely you're passionate about um, innovation, you're passionate about impact, you're passionate about what you do. So, what's that obstacle that you faced that you literally almost broke down?
Okay, thank you for the question. Please, can you confirm again that you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. So thank you once again for the opportunity and congratulations to Shares Global. Also, thank you for being part of the Giving Tuesday movement. To answer the question, there are so many challenges, and I think DTB did justice to most of the challenges, even though she didn't go into so much details. But she, what's it called? She did justice to it. But from my end, but personally, from the aspect of a volunteer, from the aspect of a programs manager, from the aspect of working with community leaders and leaders that are doing the grassroots work. Um, I'm going to be speaking from those three perspectives. One of the challenges, and this is not in any particular order, but one of the challenges that we have experienced in the social impact space is people management, right? Volunteering, understanding the purpose, having people understand the reason why they want to work with you. And one thing I learned is when you're working with people who are not seeing the vision the same way that you are, it's like 10 times harder when you're trying to get the job done and still trying to get people to, come along with you in the journey and give it the same passion or give it the same force as you are. And there is this the context of, oh, they are just volunteering, they're not getting paid. So many times many impact leaders believe that they cannot delegate so much, or that, oh, I don't want to stress my volunteers. I also know that many impact leaders do not know how to delegate. I mean, because they believe that they understand their vision and they are unable to maybe properly communicate it. It's hard to delegate to people. So sometimes it's a two-way thing. You have organizations where the volunteers are inactive. They don't know what to do. They don't understand what's even going on. They're just there waiting for the next direction. And then you have one where the leader is trying to get people to do stuff, and people are just like, I don't have time. I'm volunteering. It's my turn. And so that's some of the challenges. Community-based challenges as well. GTB mentioned this, and I know that it's one major challenge that we've had. And government aside, the people you also mentioned that we are our own government, and I've seen how in many communities we do much more. I mean, way worse than what the government would actually do. We see community leaders, serving as stumbling blocks to impact in the community. They understand this is a challenge, but they also want to benefit, from the challenge. And I believe it's one of the many reasons why many of these challenges are persistent. So regardless of the innovation, regardless, there's someone somewhere trying to say, you know what, I am feeding off this, or there's some sort of selfish interest of this. So they do not want that problem to actually end. And so while you are innovating, while you're reaching out, you're doing all of these things. I mean, these are the silent struggles. There are people standing and saying, "Oh, if this challenge ends, these people will not come again. And we need them to come again. We need them to fund again. We need them to, do this and do that over and over again." And I believe that that's one of the challenges that especially grassroots, impact leaders, that's one of the challenges that they face when you're trying to penetrate into a community or do something within the community. It's a major challenge. I think another challenge would be resource, and I'm going to end it on this. I mean, we all know how funding can be, accessing funding, and I know that from recent stats, the Giving Tuesday has a statistics, a data thing where individual giving is actually most prominent. People donating is like the major source of funding for most organizations. People donating individually, because we understand the struggle in trying to access funding and trying to get through the door before you create your grants, proposals and applications, all the stress in putting it in, and then, and many times Nigeria sometimes is not even eligible for these things, right? Or there are certain ways you have to coin your, and DTB also mentioned this, you have to, refine. I know I had this particular challenge where I had to refine the project in a way that I started looking at that. This is not really what I want. Like, this is not abusing me. Like, this is not what, I want to do. But I mean, if we're going to apply for this thing, we have to say it the way they want to hear it, and not exactly the way we want to do it. And after all the stress, you might not even still get it. So accessing funds, and the issue with the USAID and international funding, coming to an end, and different obstacles like that. But I think it's also an opportunity for us to start looking inwards and start building, our development and social impact space from the inside out, instead of just taking from outside and bringing it inside and then trying to change things. It's best if we start to do things from inside out. But the struggle from doing it from inside out is also, it's tedious. It's tedious. But yeah, those are some of, the challenges that I have seen and that I've encountered: people, resources, and funding. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now you are literally living out the impact girl life. I love your response. That was profound and it was enlightening. I think I'm just going to throw the same question to Ife. I think I'm going to throw the same question. I'm not sure if you got the question, but the question is, what are those setbacks, obstacles, struggles, those things that you've experienced on this journey, right? Whilst you're trying to get to work, you have the passion in your heart, the fire is burning, let's do this, but something is just holding you back, or something is just stopping you. And what is that mindset? She had, Anu has already shared some mindsets, start from inside out and not just look outside and expect that salvation is coming from outside.
Nobody's
right?
coming to save you.
Nobody's coming to save
I
you.
woke up this morning. That was the first thing I saw on
So
somebody.
you can just go ahead. Just go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. And I'm sorry about the internet. It wasn't actually internet. My laptop just decided, no, we're not showing your face today. So I had to switch to my phone. Hi Anu, it's nice to meet you. And hey, yeah. Well, Anu has shared everything. I believe that most of us have similar experiences. As a social innovator, when life throws you lemons, you make a Chapman, not even lemonade, because the ingredients are crazy, and like I said, we have similar experiences. Firstly, I'm even glad you mentioned the part of your volunteers. So you call them cheerleaders. I call my team the power team. And there's some times where I feel like, how many times do I want to have a meeting to explain the vision and the mission and the whys and all of that? So it's a learning curve for me. What I'm learning is now you get the vision. The vision is here. It's you. It's not. I mean, I listened to Pastor Leke Alder at the men's conference. He spoke at some weeks back, and one of the things he also said was the vision is not what you have written down. The vision is right here in your heart, right? Anybody can write anything down, but not everybody can execute it the way, or can dream it or see it the way you are saying it and the way you are dreaming it. So there is that. But then the beauty of all of it is because like I said, there's the lemons that it will throw at you, but it's not just lemons that is throwing at you. It's throwing the Gerardine, or what's that thing called? It's throwing the cucumber, it's throwing the oranges, it's throwing the apples, the pineapples, and then you end up making Chapman. That variation, is what makes it fun. If everybody is on the same page all the time, it will get boring, don't you think? Sometimes a little pressure, a little tension here and there to even help you go back to the drawing board. I say, if this vision is not clear to even the people working with me, it means there's a problem here. We need to find a way to simplify it, right? So there's that, which, and then of course, as every other person would say, there's the funding part, the resources, the fact that you have to use your personal money, you have to crowdfund, you have to beg family members, that too is a challenge. And, like she said, this new development that is kind of putting a barrier on funding for Africans from the United States and other. I really don't know how I want to do it. But then I think, like she also said, Anu said everything honestly. Like Anu said, we all now need to come together and say, how do we raise funds for each other? How do we ensure that we are not even relying on these people? Because our problems are local problems. So locally, within our own confines, what are the things that we can do? And I think that if some of us come together, for instance, those of us in education, if about 5 of us come together, sit down, throw a lot of tantrums, throw a lot of paper, go back and forth. How Yorubas will say, you put everything on the floor, they do all of that. By the time we conclude, we realize that even the amount of money we thought we needed, you have an uncle that can solve this problem for us. I have an auntie that can provide food. Another person has this that can do that. We come together, we realize that we can find the solutions within ourselves, right? Also, the mindset of the people you are going to meet. Me, I have been through a lot with schools. So I focus more on public schools. Actually, Onkawi focuses on literacy interventions for children in low-income areas. So you won't see me in Lekki, you will not see me on the in VI, even though there are some places on the island that are like low income, right? But I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that you will not see me in the highbrow school because I really don't have any business there. My focus is on these children. Now, the mindsets of the people you have to meet, the gatekeepers, my God, that is sometimes a problem. I remember we organized a soft skills drive early this year. Yes, early this year. And one of the schools we wanted to go to in Abeokuta, a government school. By the time the bottlenecks got up to here for me, I myself told them, you know what, we're not doing again. Tea for thanks. Just hold your school. We're not doing again. Because at that point, I just thought, what do you want my intestine? What exactly do you want? First, you're asking me, we have so number of teachers. So are you bringing Ankara for us or Semu? And I'm like, why am I bringing Ankara or Semu? But then it was later I realized, that's a ticket to get it through to these children. If you don't bring the Ankara and the Semu, and then you have to sort out everybody, and then there's an assistant of this, and that assistant has an assistant that has an assistant, and you're literally spending half of your money trying to get your way into these schools, and you think, oh, we're bringing a service to you and it shouldn't be a problem. But then their own mindset is NGOs are making a lot of money. So come and spend that money here. Let's benefit from that money. In fact, one of them asked me, am I with APC or PDP? I said, oh, that's a thing. I didn't even know that was a thing. Because according to them, some organizations are being backed by political parties. So they come in, give a little freebie here and there to the children and the students in school. And then when it is time for election, the school will know how to mobilize because they have used NGOs like us to provide for them. So there's all of that too. And then another challenge would be, and this is a personal one for me, would be maintaining sanity in the midst of all of this. You're spending your money, your resources, your time, you're giving your energy, and then it just feels like I'm building, I'm not seeing the results. But then somebody who started 2 days ago is all over Instagram. It's all over Instagram, and you're dead. So you have to now work on your mind, go back to the reason why you started it in the first place, your why. Understanding that, okay, this is what brought me here in the first place. So I'm going to, anytime I'm feeling this way, I just divert my attention back. Sorry, are we still together? Because I can only see myself.
Yes, we are.
Okay, all right, good. So I know that I'll just divert my attention back to the reason why I chose to do this. So that's I would say is the summary of some of the challenges. And let me see if I can think of any other one. It will fall under resources, but I would say innovative ideas. And what I mean is, it can be sometimes stressful and a lot of work to sit down and think about something new, something like ingenuity, let me put it that way, something new and different that we can bring to the table. But when we even bring this thing to the table, how do we push it out there if we don't have the resources, the people, and then the changed mindsets that can help us to succeed in that area? So that's basically some of the challenges that I can mention.
All right, thank you so much, Ife. I'm sure that the conversation that we had before this event, you were already brewing over and over. Wow.
Yes.
The fact that there are so many gatekeepers, that's why I said, I think at the beginning of this webinar, that we cannot continue to point fingers. We're expecting the government to do something for us. But when individuals that, run their private companies or social entrepreneurs try to do something good, you still stifle them, right? So the people that want to be helped are the ones that are still gatekeeping the poverty. I don't understand. I don't understand. And
I think it's just because, sorry. So
yeah, go ahead.
I think it's also because some of these people that we think we are trying to help are benefiting from the failures of that system. So they know that the moment there is some sort of spotlight on us, and the problems that they have, that problem, that funnel is blocked. So that's why they won't let us come in very easily. They won't let us come in very easily. That's one of the reasons why I think they believe that way.
Okay, so I'm going to share a very short story. So the last outreach we had during Children's Day, the school we went to, we're told that we just felt we should go with paramilitary guys. And then when we got there, everything was looking smooth and everything. I think they had two schools in one compound. So there was school 1 and there's school 2. So when we got there, I was just doing my own thing, oblivious of what was going on. So when we were leaving, I was not hearing that, some other organizations came but the guys in the community did not allow them do what they wanted to do. And I'm like, what? They didn't allow them help the children. Primary school. And we heard also that, these thugs, these guys, they have literally taken over a whole block in a school for their own activities. They fight there, they defecate there, they do all sorts of atrocities in that place. That the children, primary school children, are exposed to blood, fresh blood. Like probably they killed somebody or they did something to somebody in their school environment. And you expect that education would be something that these children would want to hold dear. You see, when I was trying to get educated, I was almost killed. I was traumatized. So why don't I just go ahead and do what I want to, or just join the people that, because they are successful now. The guys that are messing up, at least there is money in their hands to some extent. This also leads to, or it continues to feed the decadence in the society. So I because of our time, I just want to go ahead and just slam the question, because it's like we should not even ask question again. Just share your experiences. Well, let me let me ask the questions so that it can guide us. So what's that? We like GTB mentioned. There's some of us that we have the passion, we have the heart for impact, we have the heart to help people, but we don't know many things. There are some things that people don't, many things that people don't know. So, what's one policy that you know that people don't know, but that you will love that it is overhauled? You love that it is literally blotted out. You know the way Jesus blotted out our sin. You wish that it is literally blotted out from policy, that it will not exist anymore. What's that one policy that you would want that does not exist anymore? Let's go to Anu.
Okay. I really have to think through what that policy is, and from the policy stance, you mean something that the government does. Um, the
Yes.
thing, the thing really is that so I mean, not to go into details of policies and all, because right now I can't really think of one. But the thing is, most of the policies that we have, or some of the policies that we have, guiding movements, guiding non-profit organizations, or some of these policies are kind of like standard procedures. I mean, when you compare them to some international legislations, they are actually necessary to ensure transparency and accountability. So many times, for many of the policies that I have interacted with, there are really no issues with the written document itself. The problem is usually in the execution and the people that are what's it called, that are supposed to steward this policy, right? The people that are supposed to
You're supposed to enforce it.
regulate, yes, enforce and regulate it. Now we have, I mean, they have this. Let me say we, because I'm Nigerian. We have this Nigerian way of doing our own things, right? And so, many times when I see non-profit organizations complain, and I'm like, no, we actually need transparency. I mean, one of our biggest problems is actually that many organizations are not as transparent and as accountable as they are supposed to be. I mean, those that are doing the good works know themselves. Those that are also, doing the other one, they know themselves, and we're not as transparent as we are supposed to be. So sometimes these things are actually there to guide us. However, the people who are supposed to ensure that these things are worked the way they are either facilitating how to bypass these things, right? Or they are making bureaucracy, they are making the processes extra hard for selfish reasons, right? They are making it extra complicated for selfish reasons. Also, we have a problem of technology, adaptation here in Nigeria. We still do the paperwork kind of thing. Portals and online portals for some of these things don't necessarily work. So you have to go to one office at Alausa and then go to one office, then speak to someone that is at Abuja and then speak to someone that is there, and something that you can just get your papers together, and upload, and everybody can see it regardless of where you are across the world, and you can get your feedback in like 24 hours. we still want to do things Nigerian way, right? So from the policy angle right now, I'm sure that there are policies, of course, that will not be favorable, but I don't want to speak to that because I don't necessarily currently have details to that. But I'm speaking to policies that I have interacted with and the issues with those policies and the issues with how we all go about, these policies. In fact, many non-profits are complicit as well. Many social entrepreneurs, they also don't want to go through this stress. It's stressful. They don't want to go through the stress. So they enable some of these things. They know someone somewhere that can, you can pay 20,000 for something of 2.5 that would push your papers and you move on to the next level or move on to the next phase, right? They know, all these things. So all in all, we are all complicit one way or the other. From those of us who do not speak up when we actually encounter these policies and do not, flag it immediately and review these things and say, this thing is not supposed to be like this. How do they do it in other countries? This is how it's supposed to be. Because I believe we don't just need to talk. We need to talk and prefer, okay, what is the solution? This is not how it's supposed to be. How is it supposed to be? This is how it's supposed to look like. So we are also complicit for not speaking up. Those of us who enable these things and, activate it and understand that it's stressful. So everybody is actually looking for the shortcut Nigerian system. Those of us who also facilitate it, we are part of it. The government officials themselves, that have added up bureaucracy because of their selfish interest and that keep doing things the old archaic way, that keep, running technology like we're not in the 21st century or in the AI era, they are also complicit. And those of them who really have added clauses, to the policies that just continue to incriminate non-profit and social entrepreneurs and just causes a lot of bottleneck. I understand that many social entrepreneurs actually are on the losing end of some of these policies because when it comes to a little bit of profit, a little bit of making money, when business becomes involved, it becomes tighter as compared to when you claim to be a non-profit organization and things like that. So I think everybody is complicit in this thing, and we need to start looking at how we are enabling this. We can't just, like you said as well, we can't just point our fingers to the government and say, oh, they put out one policy that is not no. What have you said? What are the alternatives? What can we start to do, to develop the kind of policy framework and the kind of system that facilitates these things? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So if I know I said that you are complicit too. So what is it?
No, I mean, when she was talking about it, I remembered an experience that I had and how I didn't speak up. Even though it really annoyed me, but I didn't speak up. And I didn't speak up because, number one, as at that time, I was too much in shock. So I didn't even know who to talk to. And I felt, okay, so let me tell the story first. So I was volunteering at this school. It's a low-income school, like a low income school. And on my first day at that school, I don't know if I've told you before, on my first day at that school, I called my husband and I said, guy, I'm not doing it again. I'm going back home. I can't do this anymore because a lot of things that I saw there were strange to me. But so I think the second day, because this was just resumption, the first week of resumption, somebody from the Ministry of Education came in. So apparently, they go around to check the schools, check that they have resumed properly, check facilities, just check a few things. They have agents who go around the schools. And then this man came to the school, had a chat with the head of school. She passed them an envelope, a white envelope. I cannot confirm the content of the envelope, but it didn't look like letter. So she passed them the envelope, and then it just took. So there's a form that they kind of just a checklist that they tick, and they ticked that everything was okay, but everything wasn't okay because there's a toilet right in the classroom of the nursery. I don't know how to explain it, but you're sitting there in the nursery and you're like 2 feet away from the toilet. And this is where the babies were. You're 2 feet away from the toilet that was wide open. Both toilets were pit latrine. There was no water in that place. They had to send the primary 4 and 5 pupils to fetch water from a well outside to bring inside. That same toilet is the toilet that all the pupils in the school use, and then the teachers as well. There was no electricity, no proper ventilation. At some point, I was like, this school needs to be closed down. But then they had a population of over 80 children. So where would these over 80 children actually go? And so when this man came and filled all those boxes, I was really upset because I expected him to, have a conversation with the head of school. Madam, what's your plan with this? Do you have anything in the pipeline? Just something constructive. And they just laughed, ha, 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 collected whatever it was in the white envelope, and then he left. So those are some of the issues. It's not that there are no policies. There are policies, like she said, fantastic policies. I was reading some of the policies for child rights, and I realized, I have broken plenty. Because why would I go to an event, take pictures, there's a child behind me, and the child's face is showing, and we do that. We do that a lot. But did you get consent? Even some of these events and programs we go for, we organize for children, do we get the consent of the school to post the pictures of these children? So it's not, that's why she said that we are accomplices in this thing too. So it's not that there are no policies, there are fantastic policies, executing it. But you cannot execute what you don't know. Yes. So in fact, and that's part of the jobs that we should even do, how to simplify those policies, put them in just one flyer and post it up from time to time, letting people know, these are the things that are expected of you as an individual. As a social innovator, these are the things that are expected of you. As a school, these are the things that are expected of you. These are because some people don't even know that these things are written. And many of us have read the Constitution of Nigeria. We have no idea what's inside that book. Let alone policies about children, about education, health. We don't know. And what you don't know, you cannot execute. So all of us should go back. As we're going back to the drawing board, revisiting our vision, mission, and all of that, let's look at the policies. Okay, this is my vision for better healthcare. What policies, do our visions align with? What can we afford to do right now? What can we not afford to do? Because you find that many of us are breaking a lot of rules. We are breaking a lot of rules. Yeah, so that's it.
All right, thank you guys. So I think we'd have to wrap up very soon. So on the final note, there is somebody who wants to volunteer and the person does not know how to go about it. What are those skills? What are those things that they need to know, right? So in like 1 minute each, the impact girl, this is your best suit. So so let's go.
Okay, so to think that I'm waiting for this question, I didn't even expect that the other questions would get to me. Anyways, so yes, I'm big on volunteering, and I understand that people have challenges like this. I like to classify volunteering as either you're volunteering serially or strategically, right? And either serial is when you just jump on things and just jump into different organizations and do what you want to do and go. Strategic is when you're making sure that the way you are making impact aligns with your own life vision, your purpose, your goals for your profession, your goals for your spiritual life, for your health, everything just aligns. Impact is part of it. It's not out of it, right? It's not a separate thing, it's the same entity. And so I believe that people just need to sit down with themselves and start asking themselves, what exactly am I passionate about? What problems, what challenges or things am I seeing around that irritates me from my spirit? When something irritates you from your spirit, and do I think that I want to address? And you don't have to start an organization. I personally do not have. I have communities, right? But I do not have an NGO organization. And until God says, to move on, I am very convenient and comfortable and satisfied with how much I believe God is using me where He wants me to be currently, right? So, there are different ways to go about it. You don't have to be on field. You can volunteer remotely. stay in your house. Do you have skills that are useful? Administrative skills, communication skills, content creation, social media, data analysis, business development. All of these skills are necessary. These policies that we are talking about, self, we need people to help us. You are a lawyer, help us divide these things, create content, share it with the organization that you know that you belong to. So there are skill-based volunteering opportunities. You don't have to necessarily go somewhere. You can stay in your house, dedicate 2 hours per week, 4 hours per week, 5 hours per week, and say, I want to contribute towards this cause. I want to contribute to the growth of this organization or this sector, or just make sure that I'm putting something. It can be as simple as just creating content, towards it. So that's the skill base, right? And there is also the part where you look at your profession, like your career goal. I used to say it's volunteering, yes, it's for impact, but you're also impacting yourself. So look at your career goals and say, okay, where do I want to gain better experience? Where do I want to gain exposure? Where do I want to grow? Right? Where do I need practical experience? Many of us don't know what we live to faith when we actually do not volunteer. When you volunteer, you practice what you say you want to become, what you say you want to learn. You meet people, you get hands-on skills and experiences, and it's kind of what's it called? It's low risk, right? Because nobody will beat you as a volunteer. As compared to when you're working somewhere and you can get fired or something, it's low risk. Everybody would come together and train you. So look at your skills, look at your career goals and projection, look at the time available to you. You can volunteer also. I mean, so there's something that we do at Giving Tuesday, and it's a movement, it's not an organization. It's every Tuesday, ensure that you are giving something. Every Tuesday, ensure that you are doing something. That's the general idea, right? So it can be picking a particular day or a particular time and committing to something. Can be maybe sharing an organization's post. It's really just simple. You can join organization's fundraising team. You know, one uncle, one auntie that has money, share their flyer. You don't even have to be the one to donate. Do you understand? Just push it and say, this organization needs support. Can you support? Do you understand? Things like that. I'm Giving Tuesday is like a movement. So it's really just using the hashtag, to drive something. And here in Nigeria, we have like communities and we have events and things like that. And connecting to these events, some of them are one off. You don't have to be there throughout the year. You can just participate once, and leave, right? So there are strategic ways to go about this, and I mean, time will not permit me to go through all the strategic ways to go about it, but I mean, consider your skill set, consider your career and personal goals and projections. Consider one-off opportunities where you can contribute to things, and just consider short-term based opportunities as well that you can look into and see that you are committing your time. Remember that the end goal is that you are making impacts. That's the end goal. That's the purpose, that you're serving and that you're making impact. It is beyond you. It is now living for other people, to also be blessed through you. So in whatever way you can do it, as little as volunteering in your church, joining the workforce or your mosque or things like that, is also very, very critical to getting us to where we want to be as a nation or as a community, or in solving certain problems that we are all looking into. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was quite profound. Like I said this, but that's your strongest suit. So if on the final note, when things get tough, I know that things have been tough and you have experienced it. When things get tough, what helps you to stay centered and not to give up? You don't give up. What's that one thing that helps you to stay centered?
Well, very simple. As simple as it sounds, it's not very simple, but it's simple. Just going back to the why. Yeah, I just take my mind back to the why. I sacrificed a whole lot, and I literally sacrificed a part of my life to, focusing on my foundation, right? So I look back and I'm thinking, it's worth it. It's all worth it. Yes, there are setbacks, there are challenges. We are growing. I mean, it's just like you raising a child. You give birth to the child today. You have to watch that child crawl, watch the child walk, watch the child toddle, watch the child get hold of their feet. And all of that doesn't happen in 1 year. It takes a while, So I try as much as possible to go back to my why. Then I also try as much as possible to work on my mindset. The same way we have confessions, affirmations for that aspect of my life, of our lives, we should also have affirmations, things that you look at and you remind yourself, I'm a change maker. I'm not doing this for the applause. I'm doing this for God. Things that you can say to yourself, because there are times that you say it to yourself and you don't believe it. But you keep repeating it, repeating and repeating and repeating until your subconscious has accepted it as a part of you. Because those challenges would always come, and it's not going to be. And then also I surround myself with people who either share the same vision or believe in my vision. So you have people who share it, and you can do projects together and encourage each other in the Lord. But there are some other people too who don't have any business with that field, but they believe in you. They know that you can do it. They'll wake you up and tell you, okay, enough of the sulking, get up. I don't have money, I have 10K, but you should do something. Yeah, stand up and do something, you get. So I try as much as possible to do that. And then sometimes this may be vain, but sometimes I go back to the pictures and I'm looking at the pictures. I'm looking at the pictures, I'm looking at the events, I'm watching the videos, and I'm thinking, you and your team pulled this off. Don't worry. What's the next one that you can all pull off? And then I also give myself time. Yes, nobody is rushing me, right? So if I am, and I'm saying this with all sense of responsibility, and the reason why I mention that is so that people don't think that sometimes it's okay to be lackadaisical about things. No, but you just know where to pause and rest, and go back again to the reason why you want to do this particular thing. Are you doing it because somebody is pressuring you? Are you doing this? I remember, I know that we're short of time, but let me just quickly share this story. One of my passions is to see Nigerian teachers fully equipped, regardless of their status. I don't care if your school is that's 40-something million naira school, or if it is 14,000 naira. But how equipped are you to nurture this generation, right? So that's why we take a lot of trainings to the lower cadre to train the teachers on simple basic things that they should know. And then somebody calls me one day and says, if I do know that there's money in online teaching, and you will do well. And then she kept on pressuring. And I had to tell God, if you are the one sending me to do this, I'll do it. But no, I don't want to jump into something that I know I don't even have the commitment for and the time for. Let me just focus on the one that concerns me, because not all of us will be online teachers. So why am I sharing that? I had to remind myself of the reason why I'm doing this thing. The message that the messenger sends me is to the teachers for now. If in 2 years' time it says, okay, go and start teaching Yoruba online, off I go. But I'm not under any pressure, and I'm taking my time. I'm resting. I take my time, look at what I am building. This is my foundation. Do we need to add more cement? Is it iron? Is it rafts? What kind of foundation are we building right now? Do we need to add more to it? I fix that part so that we don't just put the bricks and then in 2 years everything is wobbly and then people will be looking up to you and wondering, but I thought they were doing fine. What happened to them? So that's just the basically. Then I would like to just touch on the question that she answered now, because I mean we all work with volunteers. Two things that I would like to add to it is there's a part where you said how exactly did you put in? But I think what I want to say is that even though you're not being paid for the job that you're going to be doing, please put your heart into it. You have made a commitment for something. Stay committed to it. Honestly, stay committed to it. Go in with the mindset of, this is my thing. I usually tell my team, there is no Onkawe without you, because I cannot be talking, designing, social media. I can't do everything. So if there is no you to stand by my side, there is no Onkawe in the first place. So you look at it, if you're volunteering for a cause, you look at it that I'm a part of this cause. This is my business. This is mine. This is my business. Even if I'm going to be here for one year, if I'm going to be here for just a month, I'm treating it as my own. And then also know why you're doing it. My friend volunteers with so, and I have seen her pictures on Instagram. Doesn't mean that that is where you are supposed to function, or that you should even volunteer, because not everybody that will do it. It's not made for everybody. But the reason why, one of the reasons why most people fall in the process, you have 25 people say they will volunteer and only 5 people are answering you on your WhatsApp group, is because the remaining 20, the remaining 20 are there. Some of them have come genuinely, life has, giving them back and forth, so they had to for. But a greater percentage of them were just pressured because of what they saw. They saw the pictures, they saw the glam. God now help you. You took a picture with the president. You have blown. Everybody wants to be part of it. But when it is time to go to Kitupupa, nobody wants to go with you. So understand, just know why you're entering that space and then put your own heart to it. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. This was, in fact, I'm full already. I don't know how I'm going to deal with the second panel because my head
Drink
is
water, bro.
I have water. Wow. I'm just imagining if we had the third panelist here. In fact, I don't think we're going to be done until like 5 p.m. today because we have so much to unpack. I'm so glad that you honored this invitation. Thank you so much, Ife. Thank you so much, Anu. And it's so funny that the 3 of us on this panel are from Yoruba. We are Zionites. there is something with our hearts, right? And I'm just glad that we are very intentional about this and we are passionate to the core. Thank you so much. So we're going to move to our keynote now. Please stay and listen to the keynote. DTV is coming back so that you can gain wisdom from what she has said. Thank you so much. Would actually let you go now. Thank you. And we have to build that community. ASAP. All right, so we're going to be bringing DTB back up now so that she can, finish feeding us what she started. All right, do we have DTB? Welcome back, Ma.
I'm back. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well done to the panelists. Well done. And well done to you. So many beautiful and brilliant insights coming through. Well done. I can see the amazing work they do and really sharing very pragmatic insights from where they stand and how definitely we can overcome the challenges as social actors. Okay, so how many minutes? I think you said I have about 8 minutes to just sort of tidy out. All right, so I'll see what I can cover within these 8 minutes. But I don't even know where you lost me because I know I was speaking. I don't know at what point did I get off the network or trip off the platform. If I could start from there, then I'll just tidy up nicely. Or better still, I could just speak to the solutions I was already uncovering when we started. Or
Yeah,
when I
that was
started.
where you were when the network cut off.
Okay, excellent. So I was in the
Yeah.
speaking to that already. Okay, excellent. All right, Olajumoke, I thank you once again. So let me run quickly. Well done to all panelists and incoming panelists that would of course speak after my session. Once again, I'm excited to be here. Kudos to the visionary and the convener, Olajumoke, and the Cheers Global team. Also, congratulations on turning a decade. We celebrate with you. I celebrate with you on indeed a decade of transformation and impact. All right. So moving on quickly, I was speaking to critical principles that we must take note of in addressing this silent tug of war particularly in ways, practical ways, as to how we can unpack the quiet struggles and overcome, because these struggles will be there at different layers of growth and transformation as an institution. So even as a growing visionary or visionary change maker, you will continually experience dimensions of these struggles. Do you understand that? So that's why these principles will serve as like a guiding light, right? A pathway to help you surmount and overcome these challenges. So I was speaking to the first principle around the principle of adaptive strategy, and I cited a quote, a very notable quote around the fact that rigid plans break under rigid systems, but adaptive strategies bend and endure. So when we speak to the principle of adaptive strategy, it's taking into consideration two critical principles, um, which speaks to adaptability and strategy. And therefore, as social innovators, social actors, civic leaders, impact makers, we must continually learn innovative ways and pragmatic methodologies, right? With to deploy pragmatic methodologies without shoving our vision to the backside. Now, there's a popular saying that your vision doesn't change, but your strategy changes. In other words, you stay married to your vision, right? But you must remain adaptable to your strategy. Your strategy must be capable of change. Do you understand that? And I recall that I was speaking also that there are different, speaking also to the fact that there are different drivers of change. Thankfully, we all know that we live in a fast-paced world, as well as an ever-evolving world. And as such, adaptability, right, must become second to our nature. Now, the next point I was also citing around it was also citing an example around civic leaders or social actors who probably are based across different communities, or I would say based in rural communities, and are offering impactful and transformational solutions to marginalized groups or communities, outside of urban settings. And from time to time, you would see that there is need to leverage this principle of adaptive strategy in engaging and even interacting with the community members, as well as the gatekeepers and stakeholders, and people will describe as key decision makers in these communities. So you'll discover that there is need to really layer that this approach to how you integrate this community or these communities, as well as engaging the gatekeepers and stakeholders. And I emphasize the point around understanding the leverage of adaptable language engagement. So most times people want to step into this arena, not meeting the community members where they are, not coming down to their level and engaging through communication channels that have existed, right? And understanding that there's a way you can layer adaptive strategy to break language barriers and strengthen the adaptability of acceptance of the vision and the transformational impact you're bringing through languaging their rights and their own shared values in the language you understand. So the long and short of this is flexibility must become our second nature, right? Because through leveraging flexibility, we are able to enhance sustainable transformation. The second principle I wanted to speak to is around the principle of coalition. I would call it the collaboration or collaborative principle, or the coalition principle. And what does this speak to? Importantly, we must understand that one voice is so easy to be silenced. But when you have an army, you have an avalanche of voices chorusing or speaking at the same time, it is hard to ignore. So, therefore, the reason why a lot of times restrictive systems thrive is because they would easily thrive around isolated individuals. So, what am I saying? As change makers, we should debunk the myth of working in silos. We must begin to see ourselves as a collaborative and begin to not just initiate conversations around working as a collaborative, but also seeking pathways and platforms for coalition. We should not try to say, oh, let me do it on my own and be the one standing out alone. No. The idea here, or the insight this principle is speaking to the fact that there is the core, crucial need to build coalitions, not just even across the NGO space or the development space, but across community groups, across sectors, cross-sectoral coalitions, right? Across many other critical stakeholder groups. With this, we will be able to amplify legitimacy and really, really bargain where power truly speaks and matters. And we see this come to play when you see what happens with power brokers across different strata of either governance, politically, socially, economically, this comes to play. So that's how we must begin to think, right? And when we look at citing examples, we can see it from how things, even from past engagements, from coalitions, even when we saw what happened with the NSAS movement at that time, or with the Not Too Young to Run campaign, and many more. But not even just speaking politically, now speaking socially, we have people playing across similar impact pathways, and yet you're still running silo operations or silo initiatives when you can come as a collaborative and stand stronger and what really achieve deeper, profound, grassroots results through the collaborative. Another great insight that I want us to layer on in terms of what it takes, right, to silence this tug of war, to continually challenge these quiet struggles, is the principle of the micro impact. And what does the principle of micro impact speak to? You're thinking big, but you're starting small and scaling fast. You're dreaming big, you have the grand vision, but you're willing to start small and scale fast. And many of the visionary change makers who will come here to speak as panelists, and even some of the visionaries tune in at this time, I know most of you play in this space or play around this principle. But the reason why I'm emphasizing this is because it's so easy to get I would say, allured, distracted by what you see on social media, and you begin to play down how you're starting out. And thankfully, some of the panelists who are on board will share their own pragmatic insights. I can really pragmatic examples, I meant to say, lived experiences as to how they have thought big, dreamt big, started small, and scaled fast. So what we see with restrictive systems will often block large-scale reform. But what small local wins accumulate into systemic shifts. The moment you remain consistent with building gradually, piece by piece, droplet of water by droplet of water, this becomes an accumulation of a systemic shift over time. We've had cases where people can replicate innovations, not just in a community, but across many other communities. So, in other words, we kick off with small interventions, strategically scaled to ensure that we are eroding, okay, thank you, Olajumoke, eroding systemic issues as we get along. Now, finally, I want to speak to a critical principle, which speaks to the principle around resilience and self-care. It's so easy for visionary change makers to be lost in the desire, the drive for impact, that you then become burnt out. And you become so burnt out that you are unable to move ahead with the vision. Understand that a burnt out change maker can never rebuild a burning system. So you must remain fresh. You must remain fresh. In remaining fresh, you must invest in your personal well-being. Make investments in your psychological and mental well-being. Make investments in accountability systems, initiating and establishing, connecting with peer support systems. Make investments in your rest, right? Because we understand that the restricted systems around us will drain energy, and not just energy, but will also drain resources. So you can undermine the power of resilience and self-care. So you're rounding up today, right? And I think in rounding up today, I would want to leave you with two critical insights, more additional insights around understanding that in tackling restrictive systems, you must think and operate from a long view perspective, right? The race you're running is not a marathon, or rather, the race does not have a definite destination. It is what? It is a marathon. It is not a sprint that has, the end of the race. Rather, it's a marathon. So rather, what I'm saying here is that you must be willing to design strategic systems, plans, right, that will outrun you, outlast you. You must be willing to put in place systems and structures that will institutionalize legacy, not just building around the visionary alone. And finally, you must seek to build a system of engagement from inside out. Do you understand that? Train leaders, and that's why I'm also very um, impressed with the work that Chairs Global has executed in the last 10 years and will execute in the decade ahead. They can't do this alone. So you must begin to seek pathways of engaging, connecting, collaborating with other sectoral stakeholders, right? Government, academias, institutions, and the likes. So, in rounding off tonight or today, I meant to say, I would encourage you to adapt a strategy in a context when the system is resisted. I would encourage you to build coalitions to amplify your voice. I would also encourage you that in also driving human centric connections, boldly tell your story unashamedly. And also, as you think big, start small, but what? Scale strategically. And in rounding off, I know I've said this like the often time, guard your energy to last the journey. Guard your energy to last the journey. And leverage the engagement of insiders as allies. And finally, play the long term game. Because what? Sustainable transformation is legacy and generational. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can completely, I can.
Okay.
Olajumoke, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can we hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you so much, DTV. I know there is so much that you want to pour into us, but remember that this is just a pre-summit, right? This is
Yes,
just a pre-summit for now. The summit is coming up very soon, hopefully in November. So definitely we are going to be reaching out to you because we need to have intellectual conversations like this. There is so much you really need to point to us, and we know we don't know anything. We
don't
don't know
say that.
anything.
No, no,
No, no,
you know
I
a
mean,
lot.
yeah, I mean, with what you offered us today,
Yes,
we feel like we know some things, but there are
yes,
still many things that we need to learn. There are still
yes,
many, structures that we still need to put in place, policies that we need to learn,
yes,
systems. We need to go through trainings. We need to go through trainings,
yes,
especially as social actors, social
yes,
innovators, social
yes,
entrepreneurs, policy
yes,
makers. There is
yes,
a whole lot that we need to do.
yes,
And we are so glad that you are here today. In fact, if we close now, if we close shop now, we are fine. We are fine, but we just need to, take
yes.
up our people and get to know what they have to offer us and the world as well. Thank you so much, DTB. We love you. We love you. We
I
love
love
you
you
so
too.
much
Okay.
now. So
I love you too. Is
yeah, you
Olajumoke
can
back?
have the world.
Yes, I love you. And I want to do a shout out to, I don't know if the other panelists or speakers, Doreen and Kemi, have they spoken?
No, they haven't. They are supposed to come after you. No.
Okay, are they on the call? I wanted to know, they are my people. So I wanted to do a shout out to them.
I'm not certain. Team,
Certain. Okay.
are they in the studio? But you can
All
still
right.
go ahead and do the shout out to them.
Okay, not yet. Excellent. All right, so I'm just doing the shout out to them. They are members of our community, just like Olajumoke is, and we see the amazing work that they're doing as well. So well done, Olajumoke. Thank you. I look forward to engaging with the team and with those who will join us at the summit. Just before I go, I want to make this charge. Thank you. Oh, Adekemi is on the call. She says, "Hi, DTB, we love you. I love you too as well." Because those are my people, right? And I just see how they also are building and becoming resilient change makers. So I'm making that shout out to them. I doff my heart for them. And just like Olajumoke, we are truly inspired by each of you as well. Because if you're not taking action by the things we teach and impact, it could be discouraging. But when we see you run, a mile, 1,000 miles with the knowledge you're interacting with, it's really inspiring. So God bless each of you. And to the audience, I say God bless you. Let me see. God bless you. God bless you. Olajumoke, over to you as well.
Thank
God
you
bless
so much, TV. God bless you too, Ma.
you. Amen.
Thank you, Ma. All right. I know our time is fast spent, but we needed to. In fact, we didn't milk her enough. We didn't milk DTP enough. There's so much in there that she wants to offer to us and share with us and teach us and train us and tutor us. But because of our time, we'll just quickly go into our panel session. And definitely, we might not be having some of our panelists today because we've eaten into the time and they have other engagement as well. But definitely, we might have conversations with them, and then share with us. Definitely, our community will not leave you hungry. We have promised you that we're going to be bringing these people up, so definitely you would enjoy the presence of these people. So I'm not sure if we have any of our panelists up here. I think I see Ade Kemi. Do we have Adekemi? If we have one person, it's fine. If we have Adekemi, she has a lot that she would like to share with us as well. So if we have her, we can just go ahead and do our profile so that we move ahead.
Adekemi Adefisayo works at the intersection of business, social impact, and development, driven by an unwavering commitment to Africa's socio-economic transformation. Her mission is to build scalable businesses, champion inclusive systems, and inspire bold thinking that accelerates progress across the continent. She believes Africa's transformation won't happen by chance. It will happen because builders, leaders, and thinkers rise to do the work. And that's the work she shows up for every day. Her professional journey spans media, human capital development, hospitality, entrepreneurship, and business development. She has built ventures, led growth initiatives, and created powerful conversations that challenge outdated narratives and push practical solutions forward. Right now, Adekemi Adefisayo is building a vibrant network of Africans, reimagining Africa, driving bold ideas, practical solutions, and social innovations that work through the Impact Frontiers Network. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly welcome Adekemi Adefisayo.
All right.
Peter Aka is a human rights and youth advocate with a passion for building a better nation on the principles of justice, equality, and fairness. A fervent believer in efficiency, transparency, and accountability in leadership that is dedicated to improving the quality of lives of the people and creating equal opportunities for all citizens to thrive and live up to their God-given potentials. He believes that in achieving this, citizens must understand their roles in nation building and participate actively in it, speaking up for truth and justice in whatever situations they find themselves, and always working to advance the causes they are passionate about, that culminates in a truly great nation. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly welcome Peter Aka.
Right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to our distinguished panelists. I hope you can hear me. Can we hear me? I want to see our panelists, Peter and Adekemi.
Hello.
Welcome. Hi, Adekemi. Hello, Peter.
Hello,
Hi.
good day.
Good afternoon. This is a wonderful gathering. I can't believe that this is happening, but I can believe that it is happening actually. I would say that these are powerful people to drag these people to this call. They can be a Peter. It's a whole lot, and we apologize for the time. We apologize for delaying. We didn't start on time. We had network glitches, but here we are. Here we are. Thank you for staying through, and God bless you. So I'm going to just give a short introduction of how I met Adekemi. I met her through Ife. We're just talking about the whole issue of what are we going to do as social actors. There's so much that is stifling us. The policies are not smiling. And like one of our panelists said, even if the policies are still, a little bit soft on paper, right? The people that are supposed to enforce it, people that are supposed to regulate it, are literally the gatekeepers of poverty and bureaucracy and corruption. So that was how I met Adekemi. She linked me up with her and came with her today. So Peter, I met Peter in Ilorin. We were same TDS and he was my president. When I first met this person, I was like, why is this guy like this? But we've always known that he's the kind of person that is outspoken and he has the heart of service, right? So thank you so much to both of you for joining us today. I can't wait to pick your brains. I can't wait to pick your brains today. All right. So this panel session is we're literally going to be talking about shifting the system, navigating institutional pressure, and unlocking civic possibilities, responsibilities rather. So we are going to be exploring this conversation through the lens of these two change makers that are here and how they got started, doing what they are doing right now, what prompted this huge dream, right? And what are the roadblocks that they faced, how they navigated through the things that they experienced, the people that they've experienced, because you can experience people, you can encounter people, right? The systems that has tried to stifle them, but they, squeezed their heads and came out. Like one of our panelists said, when life throws you lemons, you don't make lemonade, you make Chapman and sell it, right? And make money from the problem or the roadblocks. So I'm going to start with a general question that both of you can answer. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about how you started off with what you're doing presently, because there's some people that are on this call right now that they are confused about how to become social actors. They don't feel like it's just to give stick sweet or just cook one jerrica of rice and share on the streets to beggars, or you are doing your birthday and you go to what do they call this place? Orphanage homes, and just give them pampers, dappers, and all that. But they don't know how to, push that thing and make it something worthwhile and give it a structure. So I would like to ask, I think I'll start with ladies first. So I'm going to start with Adekemi and ask, what actually inspired you to start this work? What inspired you, and what was the first roadblock that you faced that you felt like, I think I'm not cut out for this, I'm just going to dump it?
All right. Thank you so much for having me. Nice to meet you, Peter. And of course, shout out to DTB. I literally had my jotter. Let me show you. I had my jotter all through her session because I'm like, you never really stop learning. And so I'm delighted to even learn from you and Peter as well as we go on in the conversation. How did I kickstart the journey? I think it was just me getting to a point of being tired of a lot of complaints. And I think that a lot more people need to get to that point where we're like, complaining is not the only thing we can do. There needs to be more. We can't just keep saying the nation is bad. We can't keep saying we have 133 million people in poverty. If we only know the numbers and we do not move to a point where we are socially responsible, or where we begin to, take action in the light of these problems, then we're not really moving forward after all. And so for me, that was the starting point. It's one thing to be conscious about the problem. And I think we do have many people, you and I on the call, we all know what the issues are. We all know what the challenges are. But if we then go side by side, the question is, how many people are taking action? How many people are actually acting on the problems that they know? So for me, the beginning of this journey was, there has to be more. It can't be just complaints. And if I'd be honest, if anyone had ever told me that at one point I would be in the social impact space, I'd be like, no, not really. I think I started off really pure business, and so when you read my bio, it had at the intersection of business and social impact, because it was majorly business for me, but then research and going right into it. To answer the question of before we talk about roadblocks, you said someone might be wanting to start this journey and they're asking, how do I start? I think you start by starting. I was reading a book just yesterday and the title of the book is Ego is the Enemy. It was talking about how most times we have thought about an idea so much, or our intention so much, and we fail to even act on those things because we've received the satisfaction of that action just by meditating on it so much. And I don't know if anybody listening has ever been there. You just feel like, yes, I want to make an impact in this sector. And you've thought about the grand things that you would do. That is already feeding your dopamine already, and you don't take action. So the step to starting is actually starting. And it requires a lot of courage because it could be scary. Even I get scared on certain things I want to do next. But the best way to go about it is to actually take the action, because the faster you're able to fail, the sooner you can learn and you can go and rework that plan, just like DTB was talking about adaptive strategies, and you say, okay, this didn't work, then let's pivot to type B. But if you never took that step in the first place, trust me, you'll be stuck in your head and you don't take action. I would like to let Peter speak, but I want to quickly make mention of something. When you were talking about starting as well, you talked about how we might think it's just sharing biscuits and sharing rice, or giving out something on our birthdays, as the case might be. And I just want to mention that I personally think that there are two approaches when it comes to solving social problems. Relief is important. I read somewhere that a starving, hungry child cannot wait for you to fix the agricultural system, before their needs are met. And so I think this is just a word of encouragement to someone, to say that if that's the level that you are right now, being able to extend that hand of kindness and generosity, do not think that your work is irrelevant, because immediate intervention in form of relief, saying, take this money or take this food, is important. The most important, or the next important thing, is then being able to marry that with long-term systemic approach. So both, especially for like the country that we live in and the continent that we're on, both are really timely. So while we have those who are doing the system work and doing the long-term work, we need to truly marry it as well with immediate intervention. And like they say, it takes a lot of moving parts to make a car work. And I feel like each player, each actor fit into different parts of that car. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adekemi. So Randy, should I call you Randy or I call you Peter? I think I'll just call you Randy. So please go ahead.
Peter. Okay.
Peter.
No, I don't know. Adekemi, she wants to talk about the
Roadblocks.
roadblock she has. Yes, I don't know.
Okay. I think that the most of my roadblocks would be first internal before external. And I would like to explain what that means. Internal roadblocks means, first of all, even pulling in the courage you need to take that next step. And I'm being as vulnerable as I can, because sometimes it's, even with the best ideas, even with the best strategies, it takes a lot of courage to say, you know what, I'm going to act on this thing. So I think for me, it would be getting past that internal roadblock, which is building the courage and actually taking the first step. I think away from that, the next would be, of course, when it comes to getting the registration, the policies that help the work that we do, it could be a bit difficult. I think Nigeria still at the moment doesn't have any particular framework, for example, to register a social enterprise. We have for NGOs, we have for limited by guarantee. But when we're talking about people who are marrying profit and impact, that's a problem. And so these are some of the challenges. And you're beginning to then struggle to say, do I register as an NGO? But I'm not really an NGO. Okay, do I register as an LTD? But I'm not really an LTD. Then at the end of the day, just say, you know what, pick one. Pick one, and maybe as we, evolve. So I think for me, the two major ones would be the internal roadblock, overcoming that, and also then really finding your place in the whole legal framework that it requires to actually do the work that you want to do, amongst others. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, Peter.
All right, thank you very much. Well, let me use the opportunity to thank you, Cheers. Thank you, Olajumoke. It has just been, beautiful watching how young people, we can all grow and also begin to make impact in our various. Who would have thought that, from that little CDS group, it's somewhere in Girialim in Ilorin, you'll be hosting a summit where, bring in power players. So it is just incredible that when you are purpose driven, there is nothing that we cannot achieve. And I pray that God continues to strengthen yourself and the team. And to every other person who has spoken before us, that the labor of love that we all put in will not be in vain and will culminate in a better society and a better country. Adekemi Fisa Adefisayo, it's beautiful also seeing and hearing from you. You've said it all. How did I begin or how did I start? Because I know that our time is fast spent, so we will have to make this session quite fast. I'm sure you are timing us already. Basically, my understanding and realization that as a human being, our lives do not exist in a vacuum. We are the collateral for whatever systems that we build. And then the gift of God's gift to man is another man. As long as there is instability somewhere, your own rights are not protected. So you must ensure that there is equity, equality, and there is a level playing ground for humanity so that you too can also thrive as a person. And then I grew to find out that this passion about humanity and human life pushes you into wanting to see that the welfare of people are better. And then when you are called into leadership, you will know that sometimes you will need to make sacrifices and you will always need to look out for others, because even as Christians, and I'm sure even Islam, one of the core, principles of your faith is looking out for the less privileged. That's what the Lord and Savior did. So it is something that just within you propels you into looking after the other lost sheep, even when the 99 are with you. So what would be, for someone who just wants to start and say, how do I get into this space and all of that? As Adekemi has rightly said, one thing that we must understand, especially as young people, is that you do not wait to be given the opportunity to lead. All you need to do is lead. Just wake up and take up leadership. Life is presenting you with opportunities every day for you to, demonstrate your capacity to lead people, for you to show the potentials that you carry. It could be in a classroom, it could be in a CDS, it could be in a community, it could be in a church unit, it could be in a department, it could be anything where you see that something is lacking. Because a lot of times people always, try to replace leadership with position. You believe that it's until you get a title, that is when you are a leader. So when they call you His Excellency Governor, meanwhile, you can take a position and you are not a leader. And that is where Nigeria is where it is today. We have people in positions of leadership who have no leadership capacity, and the entire country is struggling for it. What will be the roadblocks? The simple roadblocks will be, for me, when you talk about personal and then, societal. Personal, it is you struggling to balance a lot of things, because as a human being who wants to be a change maker, it does not insulate you from struggling with your own personal issues. Because you are seated here as Ola Jumoke and it seems like you are so concerned about the welfare of other people, you also have your personal welfare that should be sorted. And sometimes you wake up and feel like you need somebody to also call you and say, how are you doing? What do you need? How are things going? Because one thing is that sometimes it seems like those who put themselves out there, you are the gift that continues giving. And if you do not get in reciprocation, you can become weary. It can be frustrating. So it is a lot. But for me, one of the principles I've worked with is that to yourself be true. And if God has empowered you to do something, He's able to see you to a finish. So as a person, I'm not observing the law of inertia. Inertia says a moving body is reluctant to stop and a stationary body is reluctant to move unless acted upon by an external force. But for me, what propelled me to doing what I'm doing was not an external force. So what will propel me to stop will not come from the external factor. It will have to come from within. So you have to be sufficiently persuaded by what you want to do and know that you are able to do it, not because others are doing it, but because you are called into that field. When it comes to the societal factor, the unfortunate reality of Nigeria is that everybody is struggling today because the centerpiece of society and nation building is not working. While every panelist who you bring here will tell you that there are struggles, there are policies, is because in Nigeria or in Africa, in this part of the world, we are good people, we are kind people, we are religious people. So when we see a need, everybody, the quick reaction is that let us solve that need. But the most important need to be solved in Nigeria is the need to fix an efficient and optimally running government, because that is the foundation from where every other person takes stability. If you fail to fix leadership and governance, even private entities, NGOs, social impact personnel who are trying to make an outreach will become frustrated in the long run by the bureaucracies and policies of a failed and dysfunctional government. Why? Because individuals are not supposed to do what government should do. They are supposed to complement what government does and receive the benefits. If you check a list of the persons who are in this space, the grants mostly come from overseas. In fact, overseas even give grants to Nigerian governments. So there is a problem fundamentally wrong with that. And those are the roadblocks you would meet. Why? Because the institutions to support what you are doing are not working. And that is why I do what I do, that we place attention on governance so that once those systems are working efficiently, it becomes easier for persons like you and I to support and do our bits to complement government and not replace government.
Thank you. Thank you so much, man. I hope you can hear me. Can we still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes.
That was quite profound. And I love the fact that you literally hit the nail on the head. What's the point of me asking questions again like this now? But I'm still going to go deep down. But let me go to Adekemi. So with your advocacy for a shift from mere charity-driven models to dignity-centered approaches, you advocate for shift from handouts and from relief. I know that you have given a caveat for that already, but how do we now begin to shift from mere charity-driven models to dignity-centered approaches? Because this is your major work, right? And what would shift begin to look like in practical terms for NGOs, for social entrepreneurs, for activists, right? What would shift look like in practical terms for you?
Right. So I'll use a case study so that, or an example so that it's more practical. So when we talk about a handout, like I said in the beginning, they work side by side, but we need a longer term approach if we really want to see any changes. So let's say in an educational, say school, right? Charity or handout is we're going to give books to these children this term, or we're going to pay for 5 children in this school this term. But the problem with charity is it is most times short term and doesn't continue into lasting solution. Because, for example, you do pay these 5 children school fees this term. What happens to them 5 terms later? And maybe they are just in primary 1. So what's going to happen to them in primary 2, primary 3, primary 4? It means that even though you did something noble, you did something good, it did not deliver a lasting change that can actually sustain that which you have started. So when we're talking about more longer term approach, we're talking about having to understand the root problem, and this is peculiar to different communities. We understand that we have some that are like general, where it covers the nation, but let's still use education as an example. It's more that is then saying, instead of paying for 5 children in this school, why can the parents not even pay in the first place? Right. And when you understand what that problem is, you can then build a solution around that. And just like DTP was saying, as much as we might have the big picture that we want to radically shift a sector, it's important that if we can begin to do small pilots that actually deliver results, then we can scale that over time. So when we're talking about longer term solutions, so you then might realize that it could be 2 things. One, it could be that the parents do not have access to resources. They don't have enough money to pay. It could also be that paying at once is a lot of work for that parent, like maybe taking 10,000 naira and paying at once. So it's probably not that they cannot even pay in the first place. It's just that the way the system has, been structured doesn't enable them. A more long-term approach is, as opposed to saying, I'll just pay for you this term, is to saying, do we actually need to empower that parent instead with, say, a job, a skill that can regenerate that income, and you build whatever project you are building in a way that your end goal is still achieved at the end of the day. Case in point, in Brazil, there's this program that they run, I'll research the name of the program and share as we progress. But what it does is the government gives the women in the family a certain amount monthly. But that the children of that family must be enrolled into school. If not, you won't receive it next month. So it's more like saying, yes, we want to see that you are actively employed. One, we want to give you resources, but it's tied to the outcome that children are able to go to school. So if we bring it back home, the question is, are you finding the root cause of why these children are not in school? Are you finding the root cause of, farmers are not earning enough, as opposed to we want to give them more seats, we want to, give them more trainings? Do you really understand why that is happening for that particular community or that particular location, and then begin to build solutions around that? The truth is that handouts are easier because you just do it and you've gone. You can take pictures for social media, you can take pictures for newspapers, but I think it's about time we begin to ask ourselves that, what's the long-term impact of what I'm doing? Is this scalable? Is this regenerative? If I put my money here, is it gone forever and ever? Because if you give, for example, 10 children, you pay their school fees, that money is gone that term. So I think we need to begin to think about, how can these resources be regenerative? How can we have a sustainable system with these finances that we have, as opposed to just giving out handouts? Of course, there are exceptional cases where there are no other options. You need to feed a child on the street. That is understandable. But for people who really are then building institutions and organizations, we really want to sit down and say, in this sector that I'm doing, how can it be regenerative? How can it be scalable? How can it be sustainable? So that even after I'm gone after 6 months, these people are not back to square zero. Because most times that's what charity does. It brings whoever the beneficiary is back to square zero. But the other approach tries to see that they still continue on that journey to the desired outcome that we want. So that's what the difference is.
Wow, that was quite profound. I love the fact that you took us through the journey of what a normal human being would want to do. But you took us through the systems, right? And you made sure that you taught us how to build structure. I like the fact that both of you, you go beyond answering the question and you literally tell us to build a structure. So, Peter,
Yes.
Nations are not built by governments. They can be facilitators of it, be able to allow people thrive in that system that you have built, right? But individuals should be the one to build the nation. Each citizen should learn or pick up something one way or another. You've mentioned that in your opening statement, that you just make sure that you pick something one way or another to change the nation where you are living in. So each citizen have a responsibility. But sometimes we feel as though we are doing something and we just feel like there are many weapons fashioned against us as social actors, activists. We have many weapons fashioned against us. We pray and we confess that no weapon fashioned against us will prosper. They prosper in some ways, but we don't know that they're actually prospering. And it shows up as, bureaucracy, it shows up as corruption. It shows up as, sometimes we feel like it's like what I'm doing is not even working. Yeah. So what are those things, or what are those policies you think we can take advantage of? We might not know those things actually exist, because one of our panelists mentioned that how many of us have sat down to really sit down to read the Constitution of Nigeria. There are some policies that we don't know that exist. So if you can share maybe one that Nigerians don't know, but we can take advantage of, right? And we can use this to build the nation, because it's what you don't know can literally kill. The people say what you don't know cannot kill you. It's a lie. Ignorance is the greatest disease ever. So,
it is.
Please go ahead. Go ahead. If you have any that you can share with us.
In fact, absolutely. Great question. Look, let me just state clearly that even though it is individuals who can build a nation. Individuals, the role they play is to come together and build a leadership structure that is able to build a nation. Because as a person, you cannot build or strengthen a military. You cannot build an economy. You cannot protect the borders. So everything in life rises and falls on leadership. Whether it is in the family, whether it is in the ministry, whether it is in the marketplace, you cannot overemphasize the need for efficient leadership. And the problem with Nigeria is that the entirety of the people, Nigerians, we are known to be a strong, a courageous people, an intelligent people. We are very talented, we are very ingenious, and all of talent have not been able to culminate into getting strong leadership that is able to create working systems for everybody. And that is why the absolute, solution to the problem is addressing the root cause of it all. Adekemi said something, and she talks about, handouts are easy. You can go, you can give, you can take pictures. But the question we will ask is, for example, in the education sector, you are paying school fee for a child. Why can the parents not pay school fee? Do you know that in Nigeria, there is a Universal Basic Education Act that provides for free and compulsory education from nursery to secondary school? And then you can now go ahead to either proceed to a university or college or a vocation. The question is, why do you have that law and still have a need for private or non-governmental organizations to step in to pay? Why are parents unable to afford basic education for children? Is it not an economic problem? If you say you want to feed children that are on the streets, the question is, why are there children on the streets? Are they not born by parents? Is there no system that should take care of children? Are there no ministries of women affairs and social welfare? So why are children on the streets? And what will be the long-term implication of having these children on the streets? Criminality. Crime will increase, terrorism, kidnapping, banditry, and everything you are seeing. Now, this is the policy that if Nigerians want to focus on, must change and look at. The recruitment process of your leadership and your leaders. The quality of life you get as a citizen is directly proportionate to the quality of leadership that you have. If you look at the family, it is the same thing. If you look at church, if you look at mosques, everything is on the strength of leadership. I will give you an example. The current Oyo State Governor, Engineer Seyi Makinde, when he was a private individual, used to be one of the highest individual donor to Ladoke Akintola University of Technology of Ogbomoso, which happened to be the state's government school. It was jointly owned by Oyo and Osun State. Do you know that under a former governor who is late now, that institution was shut down for about 3 or 4 years or maybe even more? Now, Seyi Makinde as a private individual was pumping money or donating money to the school. Then he got the opportunity to become the governor of the state. And through a policy within the first 6 months of his administration, cleared the backlog of whatever was causing the children to be at home, reconstituted the governing council of the school, reinvigorated the institution, and today, the school is running optimally. The tuition fee that the students were complaining of has been reduced, and now private individuals may not need to be paying every time because government have set up the machinery for it to work. What is the policy that Nigerians must pay attention to? There is an electoral process in picking your leaders. Because you must ask yourself the question, for how long will private NGOs and persons continue to make up for what government is doing? If you do this chess summit today, we will need to have an evaluation by next year in 10 years' time. How many children have been impacted? How many lives have been impacted? And how sustainable will it be without the help of efficiently running government? So the policy to put focus on foundationally first will be the leadership recruitment process, which is the electoral process. Nigerians must have a way of voting in their leaders and voting them out if they fail to deliver, because that is the only means of accountability. Any government that comes into power and knows that it is not about you to vote them in. They will do whatever they want and go. So 4 years again, they are back, you continue to complain. 2031, they are back, you continue to plan for how you want to help children. Everybody is struggling under the weight of the economy, the weight of inflation, the weight of insecurity. There are even some places in Nigeria today where the real children who need help are in localities that may not even be accessible to people. People in northern Adamawa, Borno, and all of those places. So there are lots of policies in Nigeria. If you look at our constitution, if you look at our laws, they are sufficient. The problem is the implementation of our laws. So for me, the starter is your recruitment process for leadership. Once you get that, you can now begin to impress on your leaders to reform your judiciary, your educational system, your law enforcement system, your economic system to support small and medium scale enterprises, to support private individuals to do what you are doing. Once that is done, it reduces the labor from private individuals so we can now complement the effort of a structure that we have built in the best interest of all of us.
Wow. Thank you. Wow. I don't even know what to say. I think, would you like to share a policy that we are supposed to be privy to, and we're supposed to be aware of, and we're supposed to run with, and we're supposed to advocate for, right? Can you share one if you'd like?
So personally, I wouldn't say I have one specifically, but I think in recent times, I've been privy to the most recent tax laws, that were announced and how that benefits especially the small scale businesses in terms of how you do not get to pay certain taxes till you are earning, I think, in the excess of 10 million naira monthly and things like that. So I think that it's important that if we begin to educate ourselves on these things, we then do not become taken advantage of. Because if you do not know, trust me, these bills will be slapped at your door and you're running helter-skelter. So I think on my part, my admonition is that we do get educated on these things. I think Ife's message from the very start really runs deep for me to say we have this, things in our constitution. We need to know about it. And most importantly, I think I have a question for Peter, if you don't mind. You talked about the education, the educational, the UB policy in the constitution,
Act.
Where children are not supposed to pay up until secondary school. My question is, why do we not have it enacted? And if we don't have it enacted, why is nobody pushing that it's enacted? Are we really that powerless?
And how can we push it?
And how can we push?
That is where, thank you. That is where citizens' involvement become important. We will have to move from just talking or being interested in, solving individual problems to going to the root causes. This Universal Basic Education Act is a national act. Now, it is supposed to be domesticated in each of the states. Our federation. So some states, just like the Child's Right Act, it's in certain states now, Child's Right Law. Some states will domesticate, some will not. And now those who domesticate and have the Universal Basic Education Board, it now needs to be funded, because a law is as good as the infrastructure and the resources that is put to it for you to make it work. If you go to, when the current Senate president was a governor in Akwa Ibom, he enforced it. If you go to Abia State now, the governor is enforcing it. If you go to Oyo State, they are doing that. I think places like Lagos State. Now, citizens do not pay attention to it because they believe that it may not even work. One of your panelists was making a statement that when you even go to schools and assist them, the bureaucracy of the teachers will even frustrate you from going back there to do. Somebody said they even gave up and said, when teachers were demanding for Ankara for you, imagine even the teachers who are working there, who understand the laws that should protect and govern them, do not even know what to demand. They are rather waiting to bill you who was coming to help them. So it is a case of ignorance and neglect on the part of the citizens. Laws are as good as they are enforced. There are laws they call the law of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. that is supposed to protect women, protect people from all these forms of harassment and brutalization. But if you go to the police, your case can be covered up. If you go to the judiciary, it can be compromised. So it is not even just about having that law, say universal basic education. How well do you go to enforce it? Now, if the governor said, I've given you free education, and you go to the classroom, there are no seats, there are no teachers. You go there, the roof is leaking. Some of the children are seated under, conditions that nobody can even learn from. But citizens are not paying attention to hold governments accountable and demand it. So it will take a collective action for everybody who is on this space and everybody who means well for that sector to say, hold on, we have this law. Why is it not implemented? How do we do it? And that is hard because there is no governance or democracy or system that will exist without the people. The systems are as powerful as we, the people, decide to demand and make them work. So it is up to Nigerians to put that pressure on government.
So now that is up to us, how are we going to start this? Because we've been talking about community building, right? We've been talking about collaborations. And this is one of it's like we are opening a can of worms now. What are we going to do about the stench, right?
Yeah.
So now that we've opened it up, how are we now going to begin to build this community of people? I know that we'll have to get educated on this policy and how we'll begin to, maybe we'll have to be the ones to now train and enforce the these acts and these policies and train the government, parastatals. I'm sorry if anybody's going to say it, but I'm not sorry either. But anyways, how are we now going to begin to build this community?
I don't want to, I'm trying so hard not to make it such too an activism, statement.
Please go ahead. That's why you are here.
Let me be honest with you, Jumoke and Adekemi. The rot in the Nigerian system will take a people's revolution on leadership. Look, let us not try to paint or sugarcoat things. The only systems in Nigeria that are working is corruption and criminality. Every sector in Nigeria is not working. If you know what is happening in the health sector, you will be in tears. If you visit, anyway, National Association of Nurses and Midwives just finished a strike. Resident doctors do it their own, and it is a tale. That is why in Nigeria today, by the time somebody has one sickness or kidney or something, renal issue, the next thing you are seeing GoFundMe on social media, everybody, insecurity. If you talk about the economy, there are people who wake up in Nigeria today not knowing where the next meal should come from. So people are that desperate. So crime and criminality are being nurtured in Nigeria. Unfortunately, the persons at the helms of affairs have no appetite to change this status quo, because the system you are complaining that is bad is actually a blessing to a certain persons. Some people who complain about corruption in Nigeria are only complaining because they are not yet beneficiaries. Once corruption begins to benefit you, it becomes a testimony, it becomes grace. Now, Nigerians will need to come en masse to demand that it will have to be physical presence. It will move from just holding seminars, holding talks, because we have been talking for long and the case is getting worse. If you look at conferences that held since do you know that the same reasons why Buhari toppled a government in 1973 is the same reason why he came back to office in 2015. He wanted to fight corruption. So the question is, more than 30 or 40 years ago, are we getting better or are we getting worse off? What are smaller countries like Ghana and Senegal doing? It is what they call active citizens participation, the office of the citizen. Nigeria will only change when the people in power become afraid of the power of the people. Nigerians are so lethargic. We have become tired because there was an NSAS protest. You saw the way it ended. There was this. So people do not want to invest or even risk their lives. But the truth of the matter is, even though you refuse to pay attention, you can still become a victim of a system you fail to pay attention to. It must be a citizen's awakening. I have put my own down that it is an electoral revolution. We are planning, we are working on it. We are going to be visiting the National Assembly. I'm sure you have seen me, because that is the foundational basis. If you do not have leaders who share this your sentiments that you, Adekemi, myself, DTB, we are talking about, we will just be languishing in a vicious circle, while the people who should be at the helm of affairs are working to further destabilize those systems so that they never work, and you get even more frustrated. So for us, we have targeted the electoral system. We have been doing the sensitization. Until your vote begins to count, nothing will change. There is no leader who knows that you have the capacity to vote him out who will not perform. The arrogance of leaders and public office holders is in knowing that no matter how bad they perform, they can rig themselves back. So this citizen sensitization is important. But please, when it comes for physical movement, going out to these places, going to the State House of Assembly to demand, let us also make ourselves available to interface with the authorities and say, we want to fix this thing and insist that it is done.
Right. Thank you. Citizen sensitization, and everybody must rise up. So, on a final note, this one is very sensitive, but I'm sure that that is what we live for. So, Kemi, in your line of work or while you work as a social actor, a strategist, as have you experienced in any time somebody, quote and unquote, powerful people walking up to you and asking you to compromise in the light of corruption and um, what we are talking, all the things we are talking about here? Have you ever experienced probably somebody wanting to use what you do as some form of, let me just hit the nail on the head, money laundering, because we know these things happen. I think it was Ife that mentioned that, you just see one NGO pop up and all of a sudden you are seeing them doing things in different countries of the world, and you're like, I know this person now. This person just started like 2 months ago. How come? And then you begin to have imposter syndrome, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? So have you experienced at any time powerful people walking up to you that they want you to compromise on your values, or there's some political undertones to it? This question is coming to you, Peter, as well. So they're just corrupted nuances or corrupt nuances with their conversations with you. You just know that there is an agenda, there is an evil agenda to this. And how did you, if you experienced it, how did you overcome that challenge? How did you find your way to escape it? Because if you're not going to compromise, then you need to find a way to escape it.
Thank you so much. To answer the question, yes, not from a political angle, right? But to also say, how did you overcome it? When Peter was speaking, he made mention of something. He says that for the people who complain that these things are wrong, it's because they haven't benefited from it. And when they begin to benefit from it, it now becomes a testimony or grace. And I think that one of the things that we've been doing a lot, because there's a conversation that we have, it's called the Disruptive Dialogue. It happens once a month, and it just speaks to nation building, civic responsibility, and values. I think that it's important that we are highly locked into what our values are as individuals. Because if you're not locked into your values, when the pressure comes, you're going to be carried away by it. I think when Peter was talking, he was talking about how because you are concerned about the nation and you're concerned about social problems, doesn't mean you don't have your own issues. Yeah. Right? So if you're not locked into your own values, when these, in quotes, opportunities come, you begin to think, who would know? Because really, who would know, right? You begin to think, oh, well, we could explain it away. I mean, we could say it's grace, exactly. But if we really are people who are sincere, and it really comes down to a personal place, you really just need to be locked into your value. And for people who work in the space that we do, I think integrity is one of the things that we must lock into. And I'm not even saying accountability, because accountability is, there's an external interface. Integrity, like they say is who you are when nobody is watching. You need to
Yes.
be locked into it.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that anybody called me to offer me XYZ amount. And
Mhm.
sometimes even this corruption that we talk about is not even from an external party. That I've come to learn that the easiest way sometimes to participate or enable corruption is when you are in the system, because you can see the behind the scene. You know what to plug, you know what to remove, especially when you're in the
Mhm.
hands of affairs. It's easy to plug and, like, no, you know the system. So you can even do it in such a way that nobody will even see it as wrong. And that is why it's not even a case of being accountable. It's not even a case of transparency. It's a case of integrity.
Yeah.
Nobody knows you are doing this thing. Nobody knows you've been called for this thing. But would you stand for the right thing? And I would also be vulnerable, right? Just for a recent one. Remember, I said I work at the intersection of business and social impact. And
Yeah.
there was an instance recently. I had a very easy opportunity to make some extra, hundreds of thousands, and they like really simple. I didn't need to do much. I just needed to say
Yeah.
okay, and it was going to happen. And for even someone like me who's preaching integrity and really stands on it, right? I was shaking for a moment. And I thought about it. I'm like, I could do this. I
Yeah.
could use it to do this, and I could use it to do that. It was a
Mhm.
really big deal. And so what do you do in times like this? Me, I'm not ashamed. There are people who I call that hold me to. So I call them and I'm like, this is what I'm facing. You need to have people who are also who have a high, will I say, moral standard, so to speak. People who can tell you the truth. People who can say, no, you are going astray. Come back. And so in that case, I placed those calls. And when I say you try to explain the situation, it's not really, it's not so. And they're like, no, you can't. And in all of that, another thing that then arose is the fact that once you open that kind of worm that I talk about, it's more difficult to close. Because you then just begin to see more reasons to say, I mean, I
Yeah.
mean, I mean.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
do not even bother. And I think
Mhm.
that as individuals, integrity, we need to be locked in on it. It's not easy, let's be honest, because you are front facing a lot of money, you are probably in a broke season, or you have a lot of responsibility. There's even a project that is critical. You want to reach 2,000 students. And this will help you reach those 2,000 students.
Mhm.
But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, you sit back with yourself. And maybe for me, at one point, I used to think that I had a conscience that was too active. I wrote a post about it on LinkedIn. I'm like, God, why? Like, are you just trying to be mean? Like, if I do, I will not rest. I will not. It's like your conscience is
Mhm.
saying you.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's the thing. I think maybe we also need to come back to a point where we are in sync with our conscience. Nobody might know, but can you sleep at night after all of this? And does it really then align to the values that you've set out, to do? I know we live in an era where they say, oh, the end justifies the means. No, the process is important as well. The means is important as well. Only if you want to live a false life, because at some point you'll be called to talk about how you got to that end. What will your story be? Then it would all be lies. So yes, being locked in on integrity is difficult, but you have to choose the hard route. You might be broke on some days. You might not have money in your bank account on those days. For the line of work Peter does, I'm sure when he starts to speak, he's been tempted a number of times to say no, to turn his
Yeah.
face. Do not go
Yeah.
and don't go out, don't rally those people just because we don't want it to disrupt something. But then is
Yeah.
it aligned to your calling? When you look back at
Mhm.
the legacy you're trying to build, will you be proud of yourself? Because at the end of the day, all these things will pass. You'll be left with your conscience. And I've watched
Yeah.
people get old before my eyes, and you can see regret in people's eyes. You know that they are
Mhm.
just living in such pain, right? Nobody's doing anything wrong with them. But can you live with that for the rest of your life? I think that's a question.
Yeah.
So, Peter, you just made us sober up. So, Peter,
In fact, in fact, it's been such a beautiful session. Adekemi, thank you. Let me, because some persons might say I go too direct or too straight, but I can't help it. That is mine. Let me just let you know that in Nigeria today, Olajumoke, Adekemi, and every other person who will watch this video, if you are a person of integrity and you try to stick to integrity, you are likely not to go far. Yes. The Nigerian system, the way we are structured, rewards corruption and criminality. In fact, in a society where doing wrong is the normal thing, you who does right becomes the abnormal person. There are certain institutions you would work. If you try to stay with integrity, you are blocking certain things, you will not last there. They will boot you out because somebody needs to come in. That is how Nigeria is configured. If you look at some of even the NGOs, or let me tell you, some of the multinationals who even sponsor certain things in the country, some of them are not necessarily interested in the solving of those problems. From our own research, if you go to the Northeast, if you go and what is happening as insecurity in Nigeria is almost a multilateral business. There are investments. It can't end because once it ends, it puts certain persons out of profit. That is how the Nigerians, what we call governance in Nigeria is organized criminality. So anywhere you go to civil service, somebody needs to collect change. You go to the judiciary, somebody needs money to lift your file somewhere. You cannot pay a policeman 100,000 and expect him not to take bribe. That is how it is configured for it to be corrupt. So if we do not overhaul that system, you will continue to have these temptations, because even some of the persons you may be looking up to at some point will just do one thing, or as Adekemi said, you have children, maybe 2,000, to give bags, to give backpack and all of that. And then you see one easy avenue to take one change that will help you do that. But in the long run, it will jeopardize your personal principles and values. You are caught in between the rock and the hard place. What should I do? Let me just give you a simple, this whole electoral reform thing I have been doing, going to Abuja, going to the National Assembly, has been completely with my own personal finances. In fact, money that I kept to renew my house rent is what I used. And now I have not renewed that rent. A lot of persons in the social media will be telling you, you are cashing out, because everybody believes that when you are doing something in Nigeria, it's because you want to get something. We have seen it from others. So at this point now, imagine if somebody now comes, a politician, they now say, okay, as you are now, Peter, the difference between you and becoming a billionaire is not even joining so party. It's just keep quiet, don't talk again. And you have it all good. So that may seem like I'm not talking again and I'm not supporting what is evil, but you know within you that is not you, and that is not what you are called to do. You have not achieved it. So as you rightly said, we must also continue to build ourselves, our strong moral principles, and leverage on the fact that good people who have the capacity should always rise up and give support. When you are doing something the way you are doing, Olajumoke is doing, the vacuum that is created by good people is what evil people will get up and feel. Those people who are the bad guys, they are always ready to spend and break the bank to do what is evil. But those of you who have the resources, who maybe you are born again, and you know that you have the capacity to support change and good causes, do not just support people. You tell Jumoke, oh, that your summit was great. In fact, you tried, though, look at the people you brought together. Do you know how she was able to put it together? Good people must get up and step in and act, because when they fail to do so, the world will be controlled by the bad forces. That is what we must do as a people. So will you get those kind of, temptations here and there? It is what you must get. Prepare for it. It is now left for you. And to conclude with what Adekemi also said, at the end of it, to what end? Look at few weeks ago, we just buried our former president. He was the former head of state, military general. He was 8 years president of Nigeria. Where did he die? He died in a London clinic, and he returned back as a cargo. Not because you are making mockery of the late president, but because that is the fate of every mortal. At the end of all the wealth, embezzlement, In fact, you know that the Islamic burial even humbles you more than it is Christians who will put you in casket, be doing line in state, be doing kinikon for mortuary. The Muslims will just humble you in one white wrap. The grave is not even up to 6 feet. They put you on side as a former head of state. So we must raise and build a higher level of moral consciousness. All the wealth, all the money you want to accumulate, private jets, you want to travel overseas. At the end of it all, what next? You came with nothing, we live with nothing. We must ensure that humanity is better because of all of us and our actions. We must bridle our ambitions and know that our needs are few. It is our wants that are so many. Our wants are insatiable, but if you check what you really need, there are not so many, and God is able to sufficiently provide and be your resource or source. If you have that at the back of your mind, you'll be less anxious and less agitated about what anybody is offering you, and be contented with the one that God has given.
Profound. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, as we wrap up, I want to ask both of you to just give us 3 words. You can mention your values, but for me, 3 words that are wrapped around your core that you really stand by. For me, it's order, competence, and impact. So, who should I pick first? Kemi, should lady go first? Okay, let's have Kemi. 3 words.
Okay. For me, it's integrity, and integrity is number one. And it's interesting how I used to be so upset with my dad when I was much younger. He retired a commissioner of police, and he would always brag. I used to be in control of millions of naira. And in my mind, I'm like, and I did not buy any private plane, and all of that. So I used to be really upset, I'll just be, but as I grow older, I think that is one of the things that I also took from him, and I'm really so grateful for it, because I don't think I saw anyone model it as much as he did. So integrity really for me is number one. Another would be optimism. Optimism also tied into hope, because I was watching somewhere where someone said that sometimes we think that poverty only is poverty of resources, and she broke down the poverty of hope. Just like Peter was saying, where we are really resilient people, but you're beginning to see that over time people are actually losing hope. It's like, can anything great come out? It's like, you know what, it's not in, just go. So I think for me, it would be integrity, optimism, and hope.
Beautiful.
Oh, for me, I want you to know that after all this grammar we don't speak, all this good English and your passion and everything, know that there are days you will wake up and ask yourself, is it really worth it? Those days will come. Like,
correct.
All this way
I
do.
When I was praying this morning, I still asked, I'm like, what's going on here?
Because sometimes you just wake up and you see, especially when you are putting in so much, and it's like the situation is getting even worse of what you were thinking, and then the resistance, even where you expected help and support to come from, you begin to encounter some form of resistance again from there. But I want you to know that there is the God factor. Whatever it is that God has proposed to accomplish, he has a means and a provision for it to be accomplished. Your part is to continue to truthfully and sincerely work in that purpose. Do not worry about how this will come or how that will come. What you need to do, as she rightly said, that to start, just start. So that consistency or alignment with purpose is important. And another word I always use is accountability. Where there is no accountability, there is no deterrence. When there is then when we are in primary school, part of the reason why you want to perform is because there is a report card that will be taken to go and show to your parents. Now, some schools, it is even better because the results will even be sent directly to their email or something. So every child, you cannot even lie, say your report card no come out. if you cannot build a system of accountability where there are consequences for bad behavior and there is reward for good behavior, you will never have good leadership. If politicians and leaders in a country know that I can spend 40 billion on a private jet when the entire schools in Nigeria may not take 15 billion to renovate, what is the deterrence? A president or ministers can decide to lavish 3.6 trillion on the purchase of houses in Atlanta, Dubai, when the entire education sector can be overhauled with less than that 3 trillion. It is because there is a lack of accountability. Nobody holds. In Nigeria, you can do anything, and if you have the right connection, you go away with it. So for me, I am strong on accountability because the best of man is man. And sometimes integrity may be to people who you may not really know and not people who you know directly. So we must build a system where laws are kept and everybody is held accountable under equal laws at equal times. Not the case of Quam 1 and Quam 2, where Quam 1 will go to become an ambassador and Quam 2 will go to Kirikiri prison. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful.
I wish I could stand. I wish I could give both of you a standing ovation. But you have literally made our day. Thank you so much. You allowed me pick your brains and you really poured out value today. And I'm glad that we have you here. And remember that this is not the end. We are still going to have those conferences and those summits. These are the places where we are going to remind people and really put fire not just in their hearts, but under their bum bum. Get to work, right? So this is a pre-summit, and surely you're going to be receiving your invite. You're going to be receiving your invite very soon. And we might be taking you maybe to Paris or something, It can be anywhere. We might even go to Mars. Maybe we should just reach out to Elon now and just book our flight.
No, because I hope I come back from that if I move out.
Right, you might not be
come back. Your place is in Nigeria. probably when the your goal has been met here, we can allow you go. But for now, this is where you are.
Before the goal gets me, maybe you don't hear say panelists disappear from Paris Summit.
Oh my God. She said, you know what, I'll coordinate from where I am.
Yes, I can fight from there too.
From there, I don't have to be here.
We are all here together. So I think I'm just going to have to let you go now so that you can get about your day. Thank you for sharing your time with us. Thank you for sharing your values with us. Thank you for sharing your intelligence and brilliance with us. And I pray that you will continually do more impact in the name of Jesus. Amen and amen. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Kemi, thank you.
We'll connect.
Yes, we'll connect. We have to connect.
All right. Wow, this has been amazing. This has been beautiful. This has been profound. This has been heart firing up, right? My heart is burning. My heart is burning with so much passion right now, seeing that there are people who, like minds, people who are also passionate about this impact work, this social entrepreneurship, and social actors who are willing to go the extra mile. And I know that many of you that are still on the call, you've gotten value for your time. And I'm sure that you'd have gotten one or two. What am I saying? You'd have gotten like 1,001 points. And this is not just a one-off. For easy reward, we're going to put it in different sessions for you so that you won't have to go through the whole 3 hours or 4 hours session. So we're going to put that in short sessions for you so that you can glean more wisdom as a social actor or somebody who is just willing to, you're just starting up, right? And if you also have the same burning in your heart like Peter, you want to be an activist, you have to go back and watch that panel session that we just finished. I'm so elated that we had this, and it has been a wonderful time being your host and your moderator. I'm sure that we have heard as well that we're going to be having the main summit very soon, sometime in November or December. You're going to be getting your invite. Definitely, you're going to get the information when the event is on the way. And I'm sure that this conversation has just been something that we'll never forget. It's for me, I would never forget it, right? It's not that we just want to talk like we have heard our panelists say. It's not just all talks. I've asked that question as well before, that why the conferences, why the summits, why the meetings, why the seminars, and we are seeing nothing working. It's like the thing is just getting wetter and wetter. But this is going to be different. This is going to be different because we are not all talks. We are all execution, right? We are going to execute this, but we just need to make sure that we have the right community, we have the right structures, we have the right systems, and we will definitely enact these things, these systems and this structure that we're going to put in place, and make sure that we execute them to the best of our abilities with God on our side. All right, so I think I'm just going to say goodbye now. Thank you for having me. I've loved this session, and I love being your moderator and your host. My name is Olajumoke Adesilewa David, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining in. God bless you.